and welcome back, one and all. It's that time, it's almost 7 o'clock, it's a Monday night, and we are back for Four Nations by the UKEL, and we are in a very, very scary round of this bracket this week. It's lower quarterfinals, no, lower semi-finals even, and we have got one hell of a match lined up for it. I can't tell if it's laggy or if that's just the stream. I think it looks fine now. I'm joined on the desk by two lovely people. I'm going to go down the line. Doctor, say hello.
Hello.
That'll do. And Black Bloxer, also say hi.
Hello, hello. Super excited for this one.
Incredible. How are we? Obviously, you're excited. How are we feeling about this one? I personally am, nervous. There's a lot of stuff to talk about because this is a very drama-filled, history-ridden match, but not one we expected to have at this point, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I've seen this one many times before, but every time that I've seen the Ruddy versus Lionscreed, aka Cabbage Family, it's been in the finals, and it's been at Insomnia, it's been at LAN, but it's been the finals. It has not been in the lower bracket, and it's not been the semis.
That's like the main thing that we were kind of talking about behind the scenes, right? Was just this is a match that is one that we've seen before, something that we kind of knew was going to clash at some point in this elimination bracket, but lower semis? Was this really where it was going to happen? Bloxer, let's be real. If you expected this to happen anywhere, it's happened once before. What kind of round in the bracket would you expect it in?
Yeah, I think the finals is definitely one of the places we'd have been looking for this one, if not at least in the upper bracket, clashing a little bit, closer to the finals. One of them had to get knocked down, but then maybe they make their way back up, as we just saw, that picture of them both standing at that finals. Ruddy coming in second place in that one, Cabbage Family coming out on top, as they so often do in Insomnias. They always seem to be that top dog of Insomnia for the League of Legends. But yeah, letting them down in this lower bracket is just super surprising. I mean, again, if you'd have asked right at the beginning of the split, I had quite a lot of faith in Paragon as a team. All of a sudden, they just did not look very good, but they've turned it back on, and now we've ended up with some of these top dogs being knocked down to these losers bracket finals, and now these teams both in elimination situations. They've really got to pull it out right now, and with two teams this good, it's going to be an absolute battle.
It definitely is. Well, to kind of put a bit more light onto it, this was our number 1 seed and number 2 seed coming into the elimination phase. It's a big surprise, and they were two kind of Ruddy and Lionscreed. We haven't even thrown out their names yet. Ruddy and Lionscreed, they were two monoliths of the elimination of the round robin phase. Even they were both incredibly well contested. Neither of them really had any competition for those top 2 slots, apart from maybe in the form of Venom Crest, who was also in, they were the 3 Titans, but top 2 was definitively, that's Lionscreed, that's Ruddy. So seeing them in this lower side, especially meeting here where one of them has to go out today, is so surprising. So let's take a quick look at how we got here. And first up, we're going to take a glance at Lionscreed's roster lineup. This is a lineup that we've seen time and time again. A lot of big names, and I think it's quite hard to pick out a bit of a star player here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a timeless one. This is, again, not quite the perfect roster. We have had a bit of a swap up in the top lane, but if you want to pick an individual, then I always go for Porp, because what I've seen, again, just for years now, two things. It's just the way that Porp and QQR play in mid lane. Again, shout out to 2019 UK Proving Grounds, where they were tearing it up across the whole tournament. It's the only thing I remember from that one. But also Porp and Heathen, the way that we've seen them, again, every time at LAN, just set up plays together. This is just what happens when you have an engaged support and a jungler who have been playing together for 5 years. They will make something happen. They will figure out the right time to pull the trigger, and they'll get the perfect time. And so it is just terrifying. If ever your wave is pushed in down bot lane, guys, they may well dive us, and if they do, they're not gonna mess it up.
I'll throw this across the Bloxer as well. Obviously, you've mentioned Boss, mentioned Porp. I think there's a lot to be said about QQR as well. Yeah. There was a lot of kind of spotlight put on them, especially that Corki. But I don't know if you caught the game 2 days ago or yesterday. God, my timeline's all messed up. But against Versic, we actually saw, I believe for one of the first times, QQR's Corki actually got shut down.
Yeah, QQR's had a really odd split, I'd say, where I think during the regular season, top dog, best mid laner we'd seen. There was a little bit of murmurings from a couple of others, Ketsu has had a good split. The beginnings of Timatopa getting online, but I think overall QQR was that strongest in the mid lane. But coming into these playoffs just hasn't looked quite so strong. Has been put on the Karma a lot, and is doing good things with the Karma, to be fair, but not exactly that same big carry performance. And then even on those big carries, like the Corki, something that he'd been playing all split long to great effect, it just wasn't working out in quite the same way, and it's been a really odd, not quite fall. I don't think QQR's looking bad, but from the heights that they were at, all of a sudden you can't quite rely on that mid lane to just be able to carry you through no matter what else is happening. It would be really good to see in this matchup QQR returning back to that main form, but there's definitely some questions in the mid lane now that there weren't a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's kind of testament, though, to all three of us, the fact that we kind of all throw out different names from this roster, being like, oh, look at this one, actually look at this one, that this team is a unit more than they are individual units. And the biggest thing to watch out for Lionscreed when they hit that late game, or even before, if they can ramp up together some kind of team fight that happens, then they look really consistent at finding the right picks at the right time, and especially knowing their engages and their timings on that. I think they're definitely one to be reckoned with, but so is our other team for the day. Hopefully we've got it ready to go, but we're also going to be glancing at Ruddy Esports. Now, very scary team right here. I believe this was our first seed. I believe Lionscreed was our second seed. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but there's obviously a lot to be said here as well. I kind of want to put a bit of focus on the solo laners here.
I mean, look. We can talk a little bit about the solo lanes we go to last week. Like, in mid lane, it's just classic. Get him on a scaling mage. He's just going to chill, put him on a Radiant Soul, whatever, that's fine. Akers normally has looked pretty good, up in the top lane. He's always been that kind of carry player, but then last week in their game up against Paragon, couple of incidents. The first game was looking strong, but in the second game he's on the Garen, and it just looks like he doesn't really know what to do, what his job is. He's always trying to run away when he can't, when he has to commit. And then going on into the third game on the Gragas, he was the only person ahead on the team, and it just looked like the whole team had no real clue what to do with it. Like, he wasn't pushing his lead, pushing his advantage, because he was like, it looked like he was scared to throw it. And then when we would see Puru, who was playing that week, come up to the top lane, they'd either take too long on the play, or they wouldn't be as decisive, or they'd be too decisive. They've used too much that they didn't need to, and it just sort of went wrong every time. And so we're sort of really hoping that now that Crisis is back in, the team look a little bit disconnected last week. Dare I even go so far as to suggest that a League of Legends player might have been tilted. But hopefully now that we've changed up the roster a bit, we get Crisis in, and now we're feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit more conjoined, perhaps.
Yeah, and Bloxer, is there anything you kind of noticed on this roster that you want to point out?
I mean, I think the Akers conversation is a really valid one, where, again, another player who, a little bit like QQR, had been absolutely a rock for the team, and then just wasn't looking quite so hot. I actually got to see a little bit more Akers last week than the rest of you did. Watched him play on Sheffield in the university scene, and was just carrying his team around. They ended up losing, but was just a standout performer. And I wonder if Akers is perhaps putting just a little bit too much pressure on himself to make things happen when the rest of the team isn't quite stepping up. Although, all of that being said, when we talk about Ruddy, you gotta talk about this bot lane. Sim and Jamsu have just been so incredibly good recently. Things like the Varus, Ashe, Jinx, all of those pickups have been so strong. And I think if Ruddy are looking to win today, then being able to shut down Spark and the Heathen, get yourself a lead down there, and then turn that into a lot of pressure across the rest of the map is a definite place to look, especially because Heathen and Pauper like to play with each other so much. There's the potential to be able to catch Spark out when he's by himself, maybe get a dive, get Crisis in down there, and then you can snowball that lead really effectively and take over the game that way.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
Sin was not looking useful in that series last week. I'll say it. Again, the first game was going okay. The second game's not so much. Couple of little incident, in the Drake pit with Varus. It's a whole thing. So I'm a bit worried about that. And the final member of the roster we don't talk about, Middlecart. Get him out. I mean, honestly, you look at the situation last week. The team was in shambles. They're disjointed. I can't remember. What's the speech that guy gives the Chelsea fan? Where he's like yelling and saying about how it's disgraceful performance. Point is, that's something the coach should have fixed, and clearly, Middlecott has no control over the team. They have no soul, they have no passion, and so on and so forth. Get him out.
See, I was gonna bring up the fact that because Middlecourt was a coach drafted in halfway through, right? And I'm pretty sure he was brought on mostly for drafting. So I guess we'll see how that pays off when we get into the drafting section. I don't know, but something that I do want to bring some focus on was over the weekend we watched Lionscreed just kind of like eke out a match against Versic. Versic, who were seemingly on a miracle run, Lionscreed, who had kind of taken a little bit of a fall from grace, and they just about eke it out in a 2-1 to get through. After that fact, we interviewed, I believe it was Porp, and I threw out a question to them saying, hey, you got any bold statements you want to make? And hopefully production can show off that bold statement right now, because we talked a little bit about it. Given to us, and I was going to say, do you think you've got any like bold claims or statements that you can just like throw around, something clippable by the UCal guys, but more importantly, just anything that you kind of want other teams to know going into the rest of this bracket?
Yeah, I mean, I have the best laners in the league. I feel like there should be no question of why, like our ability to dominate the rest of this tournament, and we want to represent the UK internationally. In the NLC Division 3 playoffs. So that's our goal, and that's what we'll do.
Them's fighting words.
So Lionscreed, infamous late game stompers, have come out swinging, saying they also have the best laners in the entire league. So realistically, this team doesn't lose, right? If we are to trust them.
If we listen to what they're saying and take everything they're saying at face value, absolutely best team in the league.
Yeah.
However, we may be watching. Sorry, what was it? The losers bracket? The losers bracket round
Lower
3?
semis.
Yeah, we're not actually in the upper bracket right now. We're not all the way as, far forward as perhaps Porp would have liked. I think that there are places where they did have the strongest laners in the league. Again, QQR had such a dominant regular split, but it just doesn't feel like that's the case at the moment. They've been losing individually in lane matchups, and then relying on the fact that later on they're just going to be able to come back into that game and win through sheer team fighting ability. So I'm not so sure I fully believe in what Porp's saying yet. I would like to be proven wrong, though. If they want to step up and just smash all of the lanes in these games, absolutely.
I guess we'll see in a second, but I do kind of want to draw some focus to that. So let's actually make some comparisons. Well, we can compare their solo lanes. We kind of talked about Bust earlier, we talked about Akers earlier, so it's only fair that we take those two into account when we're talking about, quote-unquote, the best solo laners in the league on the side of Lionscreed. Now, Doctor, I did see you pull a face at first after that clip finished, so I'll throw this one to you for now.
I'll just say, Porp can believe that he's got the best laners in the game, and you can see that from how he plays, because he does the psychopathic technique of just standing still for 30, 45 seconds waiting for the gank, which should never work. And, when I was coaching individuals, it's like, it was the first thing you'd see in every bronze game, but somehow he pulls it off. So if he believes they're the best and allows them to keep trying that, then fine. But, I mean, when it comes up to especially the solo lanes, we look, it's like, well, I'm just sort of choosing to ignore last week, and I choose to believe that Akers is still the GOAT, and is still one of the best, all-in soners, because I haven't really seen it from Bust, with the exception of, was it Bust in that one game where the Aatrox game just went absolutely crazy? There was nothing that could shut him down. But I believe that was kind of a draft diff, so maybe it's just because I've been watching Akers for like years at this point, that I've seen Akers many times across many metas, perform, and that's why I'd want to believe in him. The solo lane matchup I'm almost more interested in, though, is the mid lane, because they're both very similar. They are both just like chill control mages, and if we see those two get into a similar matchup where it's like, okay, it's Vega versus Aurelion, or versus Corki or whatever, my question is going to be, are they going to go even? Because there's sort of the bell curve meme here, where it's like, we're both terrible, and so we're both going to AFK farm, and we're both going to have like perfect CS and everything and scale. And then there's like the midpoint where it's like, one of us is a lot better than the other, and is actually going to be able to punish and find gaps. But then you also then get to like, we're both really good, so neither of us can punish the other, and we're both just going to AFK farm and chill. And so I'm excited to see how that matchup's going to pan out in the mid lane, to see if one of them can get a leg over the other. And then figure out if they can't, which end of the bell curve are we going to be on?
So, for our last thing before we throw it to draft, we did make some predictions beforehand that none of us have seen yet. And Bloxer, I do know that you didn't get to talk on that matchup point. So if we throw up our predictions, I will start with you, and let's see if we agree. Oh, wow! Completely different across the board. So, Bloxer, standing on your lone island there, Ruddy winning. Tell us about it. Make it quick as well.
I just feel like they are going to be real mad about the fact that they got beaten by Paragon. I wonder if part of the reason Middlecott got outdrafted was because Paragon has decided that the way that they draft is just throw picks at a board, it somehow ends up working, it's completely crazy. So I think Ruddy are going to be coming back pretty mad.
Cool. I feel that, Doctor. Go for it. 2-0 to Lionscreed. The only 2-0 on the board.
Look, I could think of a lot of reasons why Middlecott would be outdrafted, and not one of them has anything to do with the other team. But for me, I've seen this matchup many times. I've seen, countless occasions have Lionscreed not only in the finals at LAN, but also during the actual matchups themselves, during the whatever you call it, the group stage or whatever, during pools. I've seen Lionscreed Academy win that one before. Ruddy weren't looking too happy last week.
And on my side, I feel like with number 1 seed and number 2 seed, I would hope that there isn't really a world where it's a 2-0. I would hope that. I want this to be a close slugfest. But I do think this is slightly on Lionscreed's favor. They've got that, like, they're a little bit more warm. They had that in, they had more matches over the weekend. I really like the way that they played as well. It feels like they are rising again rather than kind of like staying where they are. And Bloxer, I really liked your point of Ruddy's probably like pissed, right? They're gonna come out swinging, but sometimes coming out angry isn't what you want in a vital game, right? If you overcommit against someone like Bust, if you make a one wrong call, you're probably gonna bite the bullet for it, and that could work out in their detriment. I'm just slamming the Lionscreed vote because I've been following their path more consistently, and I like the story that's been going there. I kind of want to see them go that little bit further. I mean, we've gone over a lot of stuff here. I think mostly all we have to do is see kind of how it goes. But one thing I do want to address, Middlecott's getting a lot of blast here. We love him. He's obviously one of us, our side of production.
Don't look like that.
That's why it's fine. That's why it's okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
You can be great at play-by-play. That doesn't mean you can draft so hot. No, it's fine. If there's someone I'm going to be flaming about draft, it's Paragon. I'm not a fan of what Paragon's been laying down in these drafts, so Middlecott has had all of that heat taken off. I hope that this one's a little bit more normal, perhaps, than what we saw on Saturday, because we had a lot of completely bananas drafts, actually, on Saturday. It was quite fun.
I mean, if people throw, like, enough darts blindfolded, some of them are going to hit a corkboard at some point rather than the opposition. So, hey, we're going straight into that. We were talking beforehand, we've seen so many matches over the weekend, especially from Lionscreed, where Smolder was a massive problem. If you aren't banning it, you are first picking it, and that's why blue side going to Ruddy here is really important.
Alright, I mean... Yeah, it has to go, right? Surely we're not handing it over. And so the question is, what's going to be the actual, like, the actual pickup? What's going to be the actual... I was going to say we're going to get Karma, but apparently not. You know, that seems like something that we can slam onto Ketsu or Jamsu, have a good time, take it away from QQR, take it away from Heathen. But no, we don't want to deal with that either. So I'm curious. I'm wondering, what is the plan here for the good people of Ruddy on their B1?
I mean...
You'd hope that Lionscreed have been burned by leaving the Smolder open. That we didn't get to see that game, unfortunately, because we ended up with a bug, couldn't watch the rest of the game. But Lionscreed had a massive lead to send it to Game 3 versus Venom's Crest, and they just lost it to Smolder. So I'm really hoping that they're going to ban out Smolder, maybe on this final one here. If not, I think Sin's great on the Smolder. I think you could just slam it. The Cogwar is also open, which has been super strong, and we've seen it picked up blind quite often recently, so that is another potential pickup.
One thing that is worth noting as well is that, like, we have been pushing the narrative in previous weeks of, like, hey, you're against QQR, just ban the Corki. It's so much worth it to ban it. But the other day, it kind of showed that it isn't this, like, unbeatable demon. I don't think it's... Especially in a best of 3 format, right? You've got the chance to elaborate. Yep, just slam the Smolder. That's what I'm saying. If you're not banning it, you're first picking it.
In what world are we more scared of Varus than we are of Smolder? In what world are we scared of Volibear? Well, I mean, Volibear's okay. Just make us the flex potential at least. But, like, your red side, he's never flexing that hard. Is this for tech? Have they cooked?
No.
The only other thing I'm thinking is that, like, with Ruddy banning the Milio, maybe that's Lionscreed being like, okay, we're scared of Varus now. We can't just, like, get rid of that ult. Let's...
Okay, so the one thing that I think might be tech is that if we combo up the cog here, alright? Just get Lulu Cog, maybe in Braum or something, and you do the Hail of Blades, and you just do the level 1, like, because people do not rate the Cogmore early game. Like, Cogmore's W level 1 is actually insane, especially with, like, Hail, or if you can, like, pre-stack your Lethal Tempo or something. People think that Lulu Cog is a scaling lane. It is, but it's also not. Again, level 1, you just go in, and so this could be a bit of tech where it's like, okay, we are going to pick something really strong with the Cogmore early, we bait them into picking it, and then we're going to take, all-ins, get advantage, and then we're going to have our hyper carry scale faster. And on top of that, I think that the Braum... Actually, how does this work with his... I think if he shields the Smolder Q, the sneeze, the explosion doesn't go through, like late game.
Yeah.
It also, just goes into Braum, and he saves everyone else.
Also, early game, if you're taking W, if he shields it, then it just deletes it, and you miss out on 2 stacks.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
it's
at least.
Good.
I also want to bring a little bit of spotlight on Porp Xin Zhao. That is something that we have just seen time and time and time again. Yeah. Even if you're like, you can target ban as much as you want. Ruddy haven't done it. If Xin Zhao's open, it seems like Porp's just happy just to be like, all right, there he is. He benefits the team a lot. I especially like into this like range focus. They knew straight away with Smolder. Ult does a lot for Lionscreed, and also it's just a really good champion for getting them in the game early.
I get everything that's being said here, but I just can't help but see the Cogmore as a B-Tech Smolder. The reason you take the Cogmore is because the Smolder was banned and you want the other scaling pick. I've seen plenty of Cogmores win games, but I've also seen plenty of Cogmores get 2 or 3 kills early and then not win the game for your team. I have not seen a Smolder get a couple kills early and not completely dominate. I've seen Smolders get put in the dirt early and still dominate once you get late, and it just makes it feel like you've got a ticking time bomb. I do like the Xin Zhao, like we were saying. It gives you a lot of early priority, and you need to make that happen as quickly as possible because you are against that ticking time bomb of the Smolder, but I need to see some lanes you can really play around. I agree that you can play around this Cogmore, but I want something pretty aggressive in the mid lane that can punish the Orianna, potentially, or really aggressive top to play around.
See, now here's my problem, because you can't punish an Orianna, and I don't think we want to have something to play around top. So yeah, we're going to have counter pick on top for sure, on R5, but that has to be something you can leave alone, because that's going to be pure 1v1, surely, because Porp he has to get this Cogmore ahead, and now it's, it's Braum's ins out. That's a sick dive, that's a sick gank. We can't enable mid because, again, things I've seen before, when Porp plays engage, you get QQR onto the Orianna. Again, when they made their debut, it was just like Hecarim, an Orianna, and, Camille, Galio, and Camille could jungle, all that kind of stuff. It was this sort of backup plan for if QQR's not playing control mage. Viga's not really fitting into either of those, and I don't really know how he fits into this comp either. The cage isn't really ruining anyone's day here. It's just going to go even versus the Ori. So how do we play around it?
It might ruin the Lee Sin's day when he's coming in on a leap in.
But he didn't know that.
Into the that's fair, and it does also work pretty well into the Udyr. This is 2 champions who do just want to run straight at you. God, this early game could end up with some big counter ganks potentially out of Crisis. If he's in the right place at the right time with the Lee Sin, you can make a Xin Zhao who's already jumped in and blown all of his abilities look a little bit silly.
Hang about. Is it just unironic like Lulu top or something? Like, just got like Lulu or Kale or something like that, because we've essentially got 2 lanes that you can't. Okay, tech. All right. I was gonna say we've got 2 lanes where you can't do anything. Orianna and Udyr, they're just gonna neutralize it, which is bad news for Lionscreed. You want at least one of them to be something that can get ahead solo whilst you funnel on the Cogmore. Now everyone all game is going to be paying attention to bot lane. But instead of trading it and just going all in as well, I like it. Change up the Olaf, get something that can just do something on its own. And it's not even that the Olaf isn't being enabled, because a lot of people used to think, you say like, oh, Olaf, you want to pair it up again with a Lulu or with an Orianna or something. And in I think it was actually the same tournament, that I was talking about before with Porp and QQR, we would also see Olaf was high prio in that tournament, and it was Olaf Braum, because Braum jumping in with you is your enable. It don't need an Orianna shield and combo or anything like that. Just send Heathen in with him instead, and that will just block something that will maybe stop the burn getting on from Smolder in a late game teamfight and allow the Olaf to take over. So now we have an option up in the top lane for a 1v1 snowball whilst everyone else plays the game 4v4 bot lane.
Something I do want to say as well, Lionscreed comp is so good at just like keeping you in check. Like there's effectively a cage, a wind wall, the circular wind wall, 2 tanks that are happy to set up the front. Olaf will refuse to die. There's a lot of stuff they can just kind of like toss into a team fight and control it, and whatever way they want. They can box people out, segregate. It's actually really nice. Last point I want to make before we throw it over to the casters is, if we can pull up the predictions once more. If we can't, totally fine. Seeing the draft, game 1, do we think it's changed what we think or not?
I didn't like the start, when the Smolder B1 comes out, but looking at the rest of the comp put together, provided Bust can get that advantage, and as long as Lionscreed play it out properly, and we don't just sort of handshake everything, if they play to this win con of snowballing the Cogmore and then using his range advantage and the fact that his snowball is tied to gold and not just like linear time, then we can still get an advantage, and I think the Lionscreed could have a really strong comp coming out here.
Smolder.
Boxer?
It's just Smolder.
Yeah.
Smolder buff. I feel good.
I feel like Smolder is going to be the ride or die for this whole thing. But let's see what the casters think. They've got their own predictions, and let's see how that goes.
And I got to start off by saying thank you very much, Desk. And Middle Court getting a lot of flame. Well, Rev, if you can't flame your friends, who can you flame? That's really the rule of the game. But we're in this one. It is the number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed, Rev. We've got our predictions. Let's throw them on the screen. I'm sticking with the 2-0 Ruddy. The draft is favouring me as well. You've gone for the 2-0 Lionscreed, Rev.
Have I? I am pretty sure that's a typo. No, I've said Ruddy 2-0, but it seems production has abandoned me. We need some drama, so Lionscreed 2-0. Yeah. Who cares about Smolder? We got my least favorite champion in the game, and Kog'Maw is gonna spit all over them.
I don't know how it's gonna work, right? Obviously, Smolder been a problem. There's been numbers. It's the highest pentakills, I think, on first week of a champion being released and played. It does its moments. We even saw Lionscreed lost against Venom Crest when they were 8k gold up, Rev, because of the Smolder. So they haven't learned their lesson. Are they going to get burned once again?
Well, I think that they are, obviously. Okay, so I've spoken to a lot of pros, and the common consensus is that the win condition is either dive Smolder on repeat, which may not work because you're wasting a lot of time. Something else may come up on the top side. Someone, I don't know, may take all of the grabs, all of the Rift Herald, make sure that they do get some gold on the other side of the map, have a little bit of agency on the map, and then Smolder will still get a little bit of stacks while you're diving him, so he's going to be using their abilities on top of you. He scales with those abilities. 2 items are more than enough right now for him to just end the game with the help of his mom as well. Now, the other win condition is a little bit harsh, and that's to force the Elder spawn early on in the game, so you need to make sure that you can absolutely control the Drake game and absolutely be on top of the Drake game. Once again, for the Elder, not have the Elder stolen, not, lose all control, and then you might be able to get away with the game, which is really hard in this level of play.
And that's, you said might as well. You didn't even say you'll get away with it, but we'll see if they can make it. Can Lionscreed overcome the little dragon that could, or are already going to be able to pick up this first game like I predicted they would? We'll see very shortly as we go into this one. Now, I'm liking the fact that Ruddy have kind of brought back Crisis. They brought back some early game in their comp as well, because Lionscreed, obviously, we talk about them all the time, Rev, about being not the best in the early game, but very good late game team fighting. And now I feel like Middlecourt has done a good one here, where he's kind of catch-22'd them, right? Because as you said, they either have to win early game, which isn't their forte at the moment, or they have to somehow try and overcome a Smolder late game.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, Pop said that they have the best laners in the league. I've seen a lack of stability. Sometimes they are the best laners in the league. Sometimes they are me when I'm playing solo queue, autofilled at 3 a.m. in the morning. So it's not there. Okay, sometimes it's not there. And this can be taken advantage of a lot of times. Yeah. I listened to the analysis as well. I expected a lot of trying to punish the late game scaling that the Orianna plus the Smolder are giving you, and I don't see that punish. Okay, it's all up to Pop and maybe Bust, because of course we've seen Olaf run away the game. If you manage to get a good trade level 1, 2, 3, you can obliterate most opponents. Not sure about the Udyr, to be honest with you. It's a really good stats taking champion. So what's the game plan? Are you just hoping for one lane to get so far ahead that it doesn't even matter that the enemy has the most broken champion in the game.
I guess it could work, you know, like Olaf can be that champion that runs it down, right? Rel obviously notoriously good at stopping people get to their backline, but Olaf with Ragnarok can just say, nah, I'm good, mate, I'm just going to go kill your ADC. Obviously catching Smolder, a little bit easier said than done, but Undertow can make a bit of a difference. As we're seeing a bit of pressure here from the Heathen in the bot lane, and I want to say, I'm pretty sure Sin got to Challenger with just Smolder recently, so it is doubling down my thoughts, and this is what I like from Akers, right? He said, okay, if your win con is win top lane, I'm not going to play this lane.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a really nice decision. Even if he dies at this moment, that means that they can play safely in the bot side. That's the Buipo guarantee is you're checking the enemy jungler. Here, he will die.
Yep, he will die.
Will it give enough resources to the side of LCA? Because they're losing a wave top, and now the Smolder knows that he can walk up, he can actually CS. They do not die as easily in the 2v2 because they are facing a Braum, and Braum needs someone to run into him for him to be a lethal force. So you're just chilling, you're just farming, and you're just killing.
And weirdly as well, Crisis is on the top lane, so we might even get a gank onto Bust from this Lee Sin, which could potentially upset the whole lane in itself, or maybe we get a bit of presence in that mid lane, right? Ketsuo is doing a pretty good job against QQR, pushing them in, getting that extra level, and now themselves can start to roam, can start to put a bit of pressure onto Paul.
Yep, the game's now chilling. Of course, that slight lead might end up meaning some stuff for Bust, who is getting ganked in the other day.
Here we go, the predictions are out and Bust is in trouble here. Does still have Flash, gonna be able to get away, but not for long enough. And that's the first kill over to Ruddy. Not first blood, but it gets back what they lost earlier by that early kill. And now in the bot lane as well, Sin putting down the damage, but Spark able to trade back onto Jamsu and might actually have it. Flash will get the Rel away. But Lionscreed showing a bit of heat in the bot side, but that top side not going to be a win condition that we wanted. Doctor did talk a lot, Rev, about getting this Kog'Maw ahead though.
Yeah, that Kog'Maw can be an absolute force of nature. We saw Jamsu sacrificing his flash. He tried to punish the Heathen, who did get caught up under the enemy turret, but in the end that's not enough. That's never enough. You need to try and punish the Smolder himself. Now, in the mid lane, there's a little bit of a skerfuffle, and Crisis just reset, so Ketsuo needs to be wary.
Yeah, QQ though with pretty low mana, I feel like maybe they could get an Event Horizon off with that, but they're just spamming out that Q. They're just getting a bit of a push on, and obviously they have the backup from their jungler. They're not going to be in any sort of worry. Whereas back in this top lane, Akers is having a great time, right? We talked about this Olaf potentially being a problem. Well, I feel like it's already been equalized.
Yeah, and you know what's the worst thing for Lionscreed Academy? That Bast is playing with no teleport. So Akers right now, he can trade with his eyes closed, he can lose terrible trades, and then just teleport back in the lane, an extra item, I don't know what he wants to buy, maybe, I don't know, dummy Cinder, play his Steel Cap, something, so he can just ignore Bast, ignore Pop, and then the lane is... it's over. You cannot play the lane as a Olaf anymore. You're never worried about the ganks, and you yourself are really annoying.
Oh no, he's looking for the kill. He may get it as well. He does, and Pauper's joined the top side, but Akers is trying to get away from this, will not get out, but the solo kill, plus giving the information of where Paup is on the map, once again allowing Ruddy to make plays. And we talked about Lionscreed having to get ahead, having to get Sin behind. So far, it's all Ruddy in the early game. Lionscreed not making the cut.
Yeah, and you also spent Pop's flash for him to take that kill. He almost never got it, and now look, Akers teleport back into the top lane. Make sure that Pop cannot take all three of the grabs and has to run away, maybe even die.
He might die, it's looking likely. That's the kill to Ketsuo as well. And hey yo, they said best laners. Right now, Akers is taking that claim.
Yeah, Akers is a menace in the top side. He will never die from the Olaf again. He will never be in trouble. QQ was in a little bit of trouble. He just flashed away, says thanks, but in the end of the day, he will be in trouble within the next minute or two. When Kecho has access to that shockwave once again, then they might be looking for that repeat gank.
Yeah, and right now, Lionscreed very pushed up here. Quite happy to push in. It needs to be a little bit careful though, because Crisis is roaming around, and I do feel like yes, Spark might be strong, but the Lee Sin can really dumpster an ADC pretty quickly as they are contemplating it, and they're also bringing down Ketsuo, but they may not need it. There's the engage straight onto the Cogmore, and the Ghost's going to have to be used automatically, and now they're looking for Heaven. I think they should be able to get this kill pretty easily. Another flash blown, and the jump may be enough, but it's not going to be so. Sin picking up the kill, and that could not have gone better for Ruddy, as in the top side, Akers just playing around with Porp. They show up, but they cannot kill this Udyr.
Yeah, I think this game is over. So, how was your day, J-Rail? Okay,
It's been pretty nice.
Nice. Did you go to the gym?
No, I haven't been to the gym today. You know, it's not been one of those, you know, just kind of getting back ready for this game, which could be going to all three, Rev. You're predicting already a 1-0 to Ruddy, which, what's the way they could change the tide? Is there any room for Lionscreed to get back into this one?
Yeah, of course, Rome's windows always exist, and right now they are located completely within Ruddy's hand. So they are holding the keys, they are holding the handle, they can do whatever they want. And it's not because the Smolder just got a kill, it's not because Ketsuo suddenly has 2 kill participation, he's been slowly building up his item, getting closer to that Luden's companion, making sure that he's annoying, especially when you want to run into him. It's so easy for him to position the ball and shockwave you into oblivion. It's the fact that while doing all of that, you're getting in a summoner's disadvantage. Spark has no ghost, the Haven has nothing, and on the other side, I'm looking at Jamsu. Ignite up, flash up. I'm looking at Scene, flash, ghost up, ulti up. They have all tools available in order to keep pressuring that advantage.
Yeah, and I think that there's a world where obviously we can look at it, we can say Veigar, Cogmore, late game, going to be a bit problematic, but obviously on the flip side, you still got to contend with things like the Orianna, like the Smolder, which obviously is something that we definitely have been talking about a lot, but also even just the Udyr, right? Like if the Udyr is not going to be able to be killed, well, how do you play the game, right? So I do feel like Lionscreed, they have to slow the tempo down. They are only 400 gold behind though, Rev, but the objectives, it does start to feel very much like the map is in the control of Ruddy.
Yeah, and talking about the Udyr, I also think that he can create way more space than the Xin Zhao or the Olaf will be able later on the game. Of course, the champion does this skill pretty heavily, just a frontline tank and annoying a fly on your wall. But on the other hand, you have that Lee Sin, and you're thinking Lee Sin, okay, early game playmaker champion. Afterwards, he will not be able to do as much, not a lot of damage, not of execute potential, but he will be the greatest pill that Sin and Ketchup would ever ask for, apart from the, I don't know, the ball delivery system. If Xin Zhao ever wants to commit on top of you, if the Haven wants to jump and try an ulti and stick on top of you, you'll get kicked in your face, creating so much space for your team, so you don't even have that pressure that the Xin Zhao would otherwise be able to provide.
And there's also the flip of like, okay, you could use it as a defensive maneuver. You could also go for the insect, right? If you do kick Spark or QQR into the team, you're in big trouble if you're Lionscreed, right? Because they're not going to last very long, especially if Smolder is dishing out quite a bit of damage. So I do feel like they need to try and find avenues to cut down Ruddy in these earlier stages. So far, they've not made it happen. Porp, it's on this bot side, but once again, Ruddy just playing very respectfully when they're not sure where the jungler is and they're not giving over any free wins to Lionscreed.
Yeah, and this could be the biggest bait.
Oh, here we go. We talked about the kick. There's Mum, and that's the kill. Goodbye. Spark is gone. And Sin has already started to show the Dragons heat, and they are burning them away. But Crisis in trouble there. Will be taken down. A nice flash from QQR. Knows the damage of the Primordial Burst, and now they're looking for the diver as well. This could be good for Lionscreed. They've got the exhaust onto Sin. Sin trying to stay alive for a little bit longer. We'll be able to dish out a little bit of damage. QQR taking the tower shots. One could do it. Sin didn't even go down, and now Porp is looking, but Jamsu just corralling them towards Ketsuo, who is trying to get down there. Beautiful block on the Q, but it's not going to be enough, and Porp will be able to take down one. Now looking for the second. Ketsuo going to finally join the fight. It will be an easy kill given over to Jamsu. And a very hectic bot lane play, but I think all in all, Ruddy's still pretty happy with the outcome.
Yeah, I think more than happy. They got a kill and an assist onto the scene. They got so much time and resources spent from the side of Lionscreed in order for them to be able to get their actually two retaliation kills. And in the end of the day, it's just a 2-for-2. You're getting QQR's flash, QQR's teleport, and we're looking at the play because Crisis, he was in the perfect space. at the perfect time. They execute the Kog'Maw, they give the kill to Sin, and then they kind of overforce. Okay, QQR is there, the slow on the Crisis is excellent, and the Primordial Burst does what its name suggests, it bursts people. Now the dive, that was a little bit, I don't know, it was weird. Spells were flying left, right, and center. Jamsu was crowd controlling everyone. And even though you are able to slay the Drake this time, you are losing so much for it. And oh no, you also lost 2 Drakes when you're trying to play versus Smolder. It's tough, man.
It is indeed, and well, things that are also tough playing against Udyr apparently when you're not ahead. So yeah, it's another one in the bot side, in the top side, sorry, that is rough. And now talking about rough in the bot side, we have a TP. Hello, it's the Udyr. Goodbye, Spark. It was nice knowing you while you were up. But another kill over to, oh sorry, it actually went over to Akers, but another triumphant play on the bot side means Sin gets more time to farm, Sin gets to get more stronger, and we've talked about how dangerous this pick is. Now, what are we looking at objective wise coming out of Ruddy right now? You talked about them getting 2 Drakes. Obviously there is the potential for them to go 4 in about 22 minutes. Infernal Soul as well, Rev. It's looking hot.
Is it Infernal? I think it's the back. It should be the Chemtech. I see those
Oh,
green
it's-
little
yeah, yeah.
lights.
Yep, my bad.
Unfortunately, it happens. But yeah,
Baited by the
it's
client.
thing is, even if it was Infernal, so which is extremely strong, right? Your damage scales through the roof. You can just abandon those if you're not in the perfect scenario, because right now the gold is dead even. You're still scaling. You're looking at a really late game composition. You can just say, yeah, whatever. Let's go top. Let's grab a turret. Let's grab the enemy jungle, 1/3 of their jungle, and then be able to give up one small objective and scale gold-wise a lot harder than the enemy will ever be if they commit to that play. So you have the complete freedom at this moment.
Okay, they're going back to the plan that you set. Dive, Smolder. Didn't even know Smolder could get off the map, by the way, but Sin was trying to escape. Will not be able to get out this time, though, and Lionscreed finally get to commit to the plan of diving Smolder. They get it, but what did they lose, Rev? They lose the grubs in the top side. So 3-3 will be the score on those across the board.
Yeah, pretty relevant trade to be honest. That's the first nice play from Lionscreed Academy with no actual retaliation plan, I feel. But of course they need to get back to the map, otherwise they might be losing stuff top lane. Bast is diveable, of course, with that Ragnarok. He will not be able to be crowd controlled, a little bit harder maybe. And yeah, Ruddy does not commit to anything else. That means that Spark gets a solo turret with 4 plates instead of 5, but still so much gold in his pocket. And he should be looking fairly far ahead.
Ooh, Sin caught again. That's 2 for 2. Pop will go down. But another kill onto Sin, giving time for Spark to keep pushing, get stronger themselves. And we talked about the Kog'Maw scaling, right? That's what Doctor said from the get-go. If that does occur, maybe there is an opening for them to come back into it. And if Sin's not careful and gives over a few more kills, maybe Ruddy do have a little bit of worry on their hand. Obviously, at the moment, though, it still does feel like they're very much in control. They're going to take the Rift Herald, and talking about top lane, it looks like it's time for Bust to get dove.
Oh, maybe Dove, maybe just take his turret and run away, make him spend his summoners. Jamsu is looking for that angle, but unfortunately for him, that's the only time you're gonna be unhappy that your flash came back up. That means that you cannot threaten with the Hex flash. You either commit or you don't. That makes it way more frightening. Now, you talked about the scaling, but I want to remind people that I think Doctor said it. Sorry if Bloxar said it, but Kog'Maw does not scale just with time. He doesn't need levels, he doesn't need experience, he needs items. He needs to go to that 34 item spike where you have all that on-hit damage plus a lot of tank stats. The Terminus, the Jaxo, or whatever you will build from that point onwards will make you unkillable. So I don't know if we could check the goal difference between those laners, because he should be slightly ahead.
Oh,
Yep.
400 gold.
Not much, not great, not terrible though, especially considering that since start the game with 2-0-1, it's a nice advantage to have at this moment. When you get that 2-item spike, you should be looking for front-to-back teamfights, maybe forcing them around the 3rd or 4th Drake.
Okay, well, Dragon is going to be spawning very shortly. It does look like Lionscreed are going to be rotating around that one, but like you said a bit earlier, Ruddy quite content with not fighting for this. They don't need to do it. They don't need to send all of their members across for this one, and they are just holding on to the mid lane tower, which obviously for them is quite a bit more important. And Lionscreed looking to try and siege this one. They do have the numbers. They are going to force away Ruddy. And this should be a tower collected, which should be a rotation now into the Drake. So Lionscreed building a bit of gold, trying to keep themselves afloat. They are 1.7k ahead. And in that top side, Bus now starting to have a bit of a better fight against Akers, but the long team fight, I feel like the Ude just does so well in these that if you are on the side of Bus, you've got to be a bit careful, but the Ragnarok is going to be popped. And once again, Ude can just leave the vicinity.
Yeah, that sustain from the Olaf wins the fight every time unless you spend your enhanced ability for the W as the order, which not a lot of players do. That's a lot of damage over there. I'm not sure if you want to fight, maybe because Olaf is still in the top side, he still has to run, it's still a little bit of time, and Sin still has access to his mom.
Event Horizon is causing some problems, not allowing Ruddy to go forwards, but with that now on cooldown, here's the Magnet Storm! That's 3 members caught out, Uda in the mix, the mum on top, and they are starting to drop. Here we go into the fight. Ruddy absolutely snap, and Lionscreed have no rebuttal.
Yeah, and Ruddy knows that Lionscreed cannot afford to lose those fights, and they force them that, well, Lionscreed spend their tempo move to get the tower. They weren't first in the Drake fight. They did not have the teleport's ultimate, or sorry, their top laner's ultimate, so it's so hard, and especially when Jamsu, he loses his celestial position, but that engage, oh my god, that engage was just mwah, chef's kiss.
It's unreal, right? Like, they just buy their time. They just play it out. They play for the Drake. They don't need to overstep. And then when they choose to go rev, they just full send it.
Yep, no ult from the Braum, no ulti, no sorry, even Horizon from the Veigar. That means that 3 item shockwave into 3 item crash down. That's a lot of crowd control, not a lot of damage from your side. The Kog'Maw cannot auto attack. The Veigar does not have time to poke, and Mom together with the Steel Ball of Orianna just crush you down.
Yeah, it's it's tough, man. Like, if you're Kog'Maw, like Kog'Maw, I feel like just disappeared in that fight, right? I don't even remember seeing Spark throw out an auto or anything. They just got eviscerated, burned in the flames of the mother from Smolder. And that's the story, right? That's what we talked about. We said it's going to be difficult with the amount of damage that can come through in these team fights, and they need to play that range game. And we saw the timings. We saw the Event Horizon. It's off cooldown. Now is the time to charge. They make it happen, and there isn't really much that Lionscreed can really do in rebuttal to that without those key ultimates like the Ragnarok.
Yep, cannot move. That means you cannot play the game. Easy as that. Tail as all as time. Now they do manage to collect a retaliation turret in the top side, so they have cleared up the outer line of turrets without much answer from the side of Ruddy. But, well, is that gonna be enough? QQR gets kicked.
Oh, QQR gonna be pushed back in. Shockwave. It's quite tanky, though. The Veigar's still not going down. It will be a matter of time, though. The flash as well from QQR. Tried to get the last Baleful strike in, but it's not going to be so, and the bot lane tower will fall as well. Now, their eyes set on the mid, though. Sin pushing that one in. Obviously, the heathen is around with the help of Paul, but respect shown from Ruddy will not overextend.
Yep. Do you remember that old copy pasta that Twitch used whenever Kassadin was playing? Like right hand watch emoji, I don't know, 12 out of 16 Molten W?
Yeah.
We are 176 out of 225 Monka W at this moment. That's quite a lot. He should need around 3 or 4 minutes, but if they just have a couple of skirmishes, I don't want to say all-out fights, but if they just skirmish, call the mom, sneeze onto the enemy, use your Q once or twice, he should be there, and he's already 2 items strong.
Ooh, the time is ticking. You know, it obviously was Casa win. I don't know if Smolder's got like a similar pun to their name just yet. Maybe we got to think about that. Maybe the desk can think about that one, Riv, actually. Maybe they can come up with some good Smolder puns. But at the moment, what's the win con, Rev? Right, let's check in. We talked about it on the desk. We saw the doctor was saying, okay, Kog'Maw, maybe the key to victory. We talked about potential top lane being key to victory. We threw that one out the window a long time ago. Is there still a world where we rely on QQR and Spark?
Well, you kind of rely mostly on QQR. I think Spark should stay way far behind. He cannot easily move ahead without getting collected, and I don't know, crowd control forever from Jamsu, and then Archers will slow you and whatnot. QQR should be able to one-shot whoever he looks at, especially after the decap. But that's still a huge task to ask, because how do you actually walk up? Even at level 5, even Horizons should have an 8-9 second cooldown. That's a huge window of opportunity for the enemy team to just flash on top of you. And every time that I'm looking at Jamsu, he has his flash up for all those crucial teamfights. So 30 seconds, the next rake is up, he has flash. On the other hand, Spark, still not. QQR will not have flash at all.
Okay, so in big trouble here, actually. There's a lot of members roaming down. TP out, though, going to be the smart play. Now, the big question I've got, Rev, how 400 IQ are we going with this, okay? One of the things you said about win condition was allowing the Elder Drake to spawn. Do Ruddy just not do Dragon now? Do they just play the game out and let themselves scale?
Yeah, they could. Nobody pressures them to take the Dragon. Chemtech Soul is one of the worst souls in the game. Yes, it gives you a little bit of damage when you're low, but you don't have those big skirmishers.
They're doubling down though. Here's the stun onto Spark. Not going to go down to shit, but there's a shockwave, and there's Mom over the top of a good block from Brum. Will hold them out. They're now chasing him into the backline. Akers looking for the kill, but not having the damage just yet. But they're starting to fall. Here comes Smolder. Sin flying around the fight, burning everyone to a crisp. Members are dropping. Bust will be next, and Spark solo still not going to be able to turn anything around. And once again, Ruddy will take the fight. They will take the Dragon Soul and maybe even the Baron, Rev. They're taking it all.
Yeah, 225 stacks reached. Game is over. They even stole the Dragon's Pentakill, and to that I say, good. Let him earn it. But, Ruddy, I think they have earned that first game victory. After that Soul, after the Baron takedown, the game is going to be so much harder for the side of Lionscreed, because they will not be even close in gold from that point onwards. How do you fight that losing fight? It's an uphill battle, and the hill just gets higher and higher.
Yeah, and it almost feels like the way to win is a sneaky Veigar one-shot onto Smolder. But if we just look at this fight, Rev, I just don't see how that's going to be plausible.
Yeah, look at Ikers. He runs to the Demon Horizon, runs back, 3-man shockwave once again, and Ikers, he does not allow QQR to play the game. That's his job. His job is not to execute. He never killed Spark, but he never allowed Spark to auto-attack anyone important. He never allowed QQR to use his spell on anyone important. And when all of your cooldowns are down, when the W from the Kog'Maw is down, when the Event Horizon is down, it seems like, guys, I can just flap my way in. Nobody can stop me. My damage is up there. He's now 3 items strong, 6, 3, and 6. And he's looking at some executes earlier in the game.
Indeed, and now the Baron leading them up to 3k gold in the lead. They should be able to shut down a couple of these tier 2 towers, get even stronger. The big thing that I'm thinking about though is there a world where the Elder Dragon can change the game? Maybe if we can get there. Right now though, Lionscreed are starting to crumble just like their towers. Another kill going to be going over to Ruddy as they go for this tier 2 in the bot side. This is secured, and they are now looking for more. Can they rotate this maybe into a mid tier 2? Do they maybe just 5-man push onto this tier 3? It looks like they're kind of making a few decisions. They can just quietly leave Akers.
Yeah, they can just leave Akers. He's gonna be annoying. He can run really fast when you're pushing the lane just over, so you will not have any issues. The only issue with the mid lane right now is that it's not stacked, so it's quite easy to clear for everyone. If QQR looks at the wave, it's done. If Spark looks at the wave, it's done. But they're looking at QQR. Ikers can tank for days.
Yeah, I just really love this. It's like a small magic man who's just able to control the power of this dark magic versus a dude that runs fast and looks like a bear or a phoenix, depending on whatever he chooses. And it's just unreal, man. Like, Utyr is such a crazy champion, and we're seeing it once again. Akers just basically not losing HP in any of these trades, now allowing his team to just pressure onto this tower, because as you said earlier, can just give so much space to Ruddy.
Yep, and you cannot have that space for yourself. Spark, once again, has no flash. Oh my god.
Into the back line, now moving forwards. Ruddy might look to end the game here. Sin just firing off of the back line. Pop already gone. Event Horizon buys a little bit more time, but the tower is gone. The inhib is gone, and one more member of Lionscreed will follow. Can they pivot this into the mid push? It looks like they're going to try. They still have 30 seconds on the Baron buff.
They don't really need to. They can just reset, take that extra momentum, because when you reset as a team, you have the first move as a team. You can always overload one side of the map whilst the enemy team is just disconnected, trying to collect some waves, trying to burn some waves from your side, and you can always play towards the top side. I'm not sure if Lionscreed Academy has the firepower right now to defend an open inhibitor on the bottom side, plus 2 inner turrets, which are getting harder and harder to defend by the minute.
Yeah, and talking about by the minute, only 2 more minutes until their Elder Drake is spawning. So maybe the silver lining for Lionscreed. We'll have to find out if they can even get there, if they can even survive that long, because Ruddy are turning up the heat. They are starting to cook. And it's not like Middlecott's Twitter beef reheating. It's more like the roast chicken he had on the NLC. It's starting to look pretty good.
Yeah, it's a Middlecott new mouse deck, it seems, because he can click on the right champions, and the right champion is called Small Elder. Right now he should be around the 375 mark or something, which means 9% less HP for all of your team, and that's a lot.
Oh, and here we go. May not even need it. QQR going super low there, but not going to fall just yet. Mum was called in, and the engage hasn't gone perfectly for Ruddy, but they're still in the mix, so they're still able to dish out quite a lot of damage, but now into the backline does go the Olaf, and finally, Lionscreed actually find a win in a team fight. They make things work, and Spark untouched in that one.
Yeah, that fight was a little bit disconnected from the side of Ruddy and well played from the side of Lionscreed Academy, but still, see, they cannot win an inch further into the map, because the moment they woke up, that dragon will just spit on them and make them crawl back into the base. So that's a very nice little 30-second, like 1.5 minute window that Lionscreed Academy won. But what can they do with it? Spark is already at his 3.5 item mark, so he's scaling quite well. But I'm looking at QQR. Can he amass the stacks in order to be able to deal with the enemy frontline effectively and time efficiently? Because that's the only thing that's stopping them from reaching into the enemy backline.
I'm just saying, Lionscreed said we had the best laners. Ruddy took that personally. Akers and Kesso are performing phenomenally. Obviously, so is Sin and the rest of the Ruddy team. But for the solo laners, they've done their job. Kesso hasn't even died yet. Akers, we've just non-stop been talking about how good this Udyr has been for the team. So, yeah, it feels like they really came to show what they're made of. 326 stacks now, Rev, as well. It just keeps going. This is the big fight, though. In front of the Elder Drake. Can Ruddy make it clean this time? They're going to get into the backline straight away. Mum getting thrown to the top. Good block, though, from the Heathen. Will stop the damage. And Akers not managing to cause the same issues that he was before. And a reset on that fight.
Yeah, it's 9.5% less HP for the team of Lionscreed Academy. They know that they cannot just commit with blind rage. They need to be smart about it, especially with the Leandris. It's even less the teleport.
Oh, Heathen low as well. Going to be taken down, it seems. As Akers just buying a bit of time for the team. Has the big shield. Gonna go down.
Oh, he's alive.
Just lives. Akers still alive and has forced back all
dead.
members of Lionscreed. And here comes Sin. That's a double kill. We're looking for 5. Will he
Triple.
get 3? That's 3. Will it be 4?
4.
He gets 4. Will it be the 5th kill? Will it be the Penta? Here goes the Dragon's Roar.
Pentakill for the Smolder! Who would have guessed that? Some chatters will write Hongshu, but it is still a pentakill for Sin. 13, 3, and 6. You can dive him as many times as you like, but in the end of the day, he will dominate with that champion.
Game 1, Ruddy came to prove a point, and a point they did prove. They have set this game alight, and Lionscreed are 0-1 down the series. And what can I say, Rev? We talked about it in the very first moment that we got on screen. They didn't ban Smolder. They lost an 8k gold lead against Venomcreed. They lost another game against the Dragon. It has to be banned.
Yeah, you have no answers. You started punishing the Drake way too late into the game. You started losing neutral objectives when the enemy is playing Orianna and Smolder with 0 pressure early on in the game. So you have to respect that pick. You have to make sure that the enemy team has not got that huge machine gun in their arms, so you have a fighting chance. Lionscreed Academy are backs against the wall.
Yeah, right now, it's tough for Lionscreed, you know? They have to find something. They have to fix it up. But will history repeat itself? We saw Ruddy go 1-0 last week. Will it be a comeback for the other team? We'll find out. But we'll see what the Desk thinks after a short break. I need a bit of a cool down moment. The Smolder making it a bit too hot on the Rift.
Now, welcome back. There's a lot of things we can say about the game that just happened. There's a lot of things we said behind the scenes. But there is one very simple thing that we can just kind of get out the way, because it's going to be the topic of the session. We know it is, and it's probably going to be hopefully going to be the only chance we get to say this over this best of 3. It's a very simple solution, right? It's a very easy, just like, get rid of it. Like, we said this before we hit draft, right?
I mean,
Not for
well,
overlay,
you know,
please.
I mean, you know, you go away with it, Bloxer. I mean,
so
you have
mad.
strong opinions.
I'm so sad. I need that overlay off of you now, because like I feel like I've been broken record for the past like what 3 weeks or so of just like ban it, please ban it. We've done this now 2 splits in a row. Last split it was the Fiora top for Lars, and it was like just don't. You will lose to it. And this time it's the Smolder. Just ban it. And it seems like teams are incapable of not thinking that they are good enough to be the one magic unicorn that manages to win versus a Smolder. You're not. And I don't care if maybe 1 out of 100 games you'd be able to win it. It's not worth the stress of having it in your games. Just ban it. There's plenty of other things to pick up. I love that Cogmore if you don't have the Smolder. There's so much else really fun in the bot lane. Come on, man.
I mean, there's a lot to be said about it. We do have a couple clips to show off of it happening, and I feel like it's almost good to just kind of let them run while we discuss what we would discuss anyway. So we do have a first one, which the title, which was one that was said in the green room, was just Smolder does a Smolder, and it is exactly what happens indeed. But yeah, we saw Sin play incredibly. Honestly, I think they picked up the first couple kills of the game, and it was pretty much just curtains from there. Every single time Lionscreed tried to challenge, they were there. Mum would instigate the fight, and then Sin would come in right behind and just rack up too much damage.
I mean, it's just kind of free hitting, isn't he? And I mean, across the fight, you see like the second we get the combo, it's just over, right? The second we're walking up, and you think about it, it's like Lionscreed didn't actually want that, like that Drake. They're walking up to it, but then Porp's going mid lane, but the squishies are like, no, we can do this one, and then suddenly, like, they're stood, you know, right all on top of each other next to an Orianna, and it's a bit of an easy combo to come through. So, I don't know. On the one hand, I'm not a huge, not a huge fan of what has occurred there. On the other hand, though, like, just looking at the setup, I think it was going okay for the Cogmore, right? It's, okay, we've actually, all right. It was that. Look, I've got opinions, but for this fight, it's just, Smolder's it's just a Smolder thing, isn't it? At this point,
It's just so strong. It's so strong.
And we also had to think about like the whole like contest. You've got a scaler, I've got a scaler. I don't think anyone does it like Smolder does at the moment. And Sin put on a masterful display of that, just chasing down everyone one at a time. You get a super scorcher breath. You get a super scorcher breath. Everyone gets hit with dragon practice. Goodbye and good night, sunshine. That was a pentakill. God. Ugh.
Don't do it to yourself again, is the thing. But then I feel like there's also okay, go on, Doctor, go on. I want to hear this tech. I want to hear this tech.
Okay,
here.
so on the one hand, it didn't work. Don't do it to yourself, right? But for the first 5 minutes or so, this was going fine for the Cogmore. So I have a simple solution. All right, we run it back and we send the Cogmore into the Smolder again, and we just don't send Xin Zhao top for the first 10 minutes of the game. Like, once was enough, but he goes for the proxy, which is fine, good idea. He goes top for gank, he goes again, he goes to the grubs, he gets the kill, and then Akka's TP, he goes back to the grubs. He's there 5 times for what? Just go
I'm
once,
just
and
saying,
then go chain
I'm
dive
just saying.
top.
When draft rolled around, the thing that I said was, you either ban it or you pick it first. That are your 2 options. So, we'll leave these up for a bit. Leave them up for a bit.
No.
Leave them up for a bit. I think we've got a very conflicted desk. Bloxer, you resolve the argument. We've got 2 sides of the story.
Yeah.
I think you've got the solution.
Okay, Doctor. that it was fine for the first 5 minutes is true for every single Smolder game that ends in a pentakill. It's always fine for the first 5 minutes. He is barely a champion for the first 5 minutes, and then he gets a couple kills, starts sneezing on everybody, calls in his mummy, and just destroys everybody. I don't want this in my games. I don't want it in my solo queue. I don't want it in my games that we're watching here on the UKL. Get it out of my uni leagues. There is no point. Do not run it back. And if either of these teams run it back, I don't care if it's Ruddy or it's Lionscreed, they deserve to never win another game in the whole tournament. No more.
I have a timeline that I just kind of want to happen at this point, just to see if like a point can get proven, which is just like, let Lionscreed go first, Ruddy don't ban it, Lionscreed lock it, just see if it's the same story, see if it's a team thing or if it's a smaller thing, let it run back but in a different way. But we do have a couple player spotlights to look at. I do believe our first one is on Ketsuo, I do believe, because it isn't all just the Smolder show. There is a hell of a lot more to be said. This Orianna put in so much work. Mr. Never Die, Ketsuo didn't go down once.
Yeah, like, the Smolder looked all well and good, but that was because he got chain fed off the back of, you know, true combo Ketsuo 3-man, 4-man bulls alongside Jamsu, right? So yeah, it looks great, but you needed the setup and they needed something to get the ball rolling, and that was just all in off that mid lane.
That's one. We also have our focus on Jamsu, because obviously what is a good ADC without a good support to back them up? This Rel absolutely showing up in there, in just flying that banner high. Really, really nice to see. 17 assists. Just, you need someone to enable Smolder, right? You don't want to lose that early game. You said it yourself, like, oh, the first 5 minutes looked actually quite good for Lionscreed. Of course it does. It's against a scaling champ. But Rel can almost wait out that time for you well enough, and Jamsu showed that off so well.
Let it be known, we did nearly solo kill Jamsu, alright? It was on single-digit health early on, probably.
He lives.
But yeah, after that point, it started to go a little good. I mean, actually, again, they kind of nearly did it, and there's the part where they go and they push up bot lane, and they get that first plate, and it's all well and good, and it's a strong disengage coming from Heathen, where he hits this Q to stop Jamsu from being able to walk up, and they're all going to walk away, and then Sin just sort of walks up again, and he's like, I think one more auto on the turret is what we really need here. You know, walks back up, instantly gets stunned, Lee Sin turns up, dies, and that's where bot lane started to go downhill. So, you know, Jamsu, before again, for the first 5 minutes, it wasn't looking great. After that, oh, baby, that's all we need. Flash, ult, W, crash, boom, kapow, all that good stuff. But, you know, there's room. I'm coping. There's room, you know?
There's
room.
I think there's a lot of change that we can see, and I think the draft phase is going to be one of the biggest ones. Bloxel, what is it you want to see from the upcoming draft? I think it is the next thing we go to, so make your calls.
I mean, I think that you just... Once you've banned out that Smolder, that's the first thing, but I feel like it goes without saying. Beyond that point, from Ruddy, I don't mind everything else that they were laying down without having just this unkillable ball in the bot lane that will just win the game at some point. I really like the way that they're playing. I agree. I think that you're absolutely right there, Doctor. You just need to be getting yourself down into the bot lane a lot more often if you've got that kind of high scaling bot lane that really needs to get a little bit of extra help out. Don't spend quite so much time up in the top lane for Porp. Some different pathing out of Porp, and I think that could have been a very different game. It's gone.
The other thing we can note as well is, like, we didn't go too much, is the Bust just did not look happy on the Olaf there. So we spent a lot of time up top lane to not really any effect. You know, we weren't getting anything going, especially if actually it was the opposite, because Porp then died when he went back onto the Grubs. So nothing was really happening up there. We've got this, you know, Akkas being an absolute wall. You can see he could face tank the Cog for ages. And then Bust on the Olaf, he just didn't look confident. You know, he's not running in, he's running away. Sometimes this was the right play, sure, but like on Olaf, you should never even think of running away as an option. You should run in even if it's the wrong decision. And that's not what we're seeing. So that could be a problem if we want to, again, go for hyper carries down the bot lane. Spark, you know, a historical hyper carry player, as we do see that, you know, the Varus is open. But if we do get hyper carry bot, and then there's not another option, now Akkas is going to have R5 as well, so or he could, so they could be counter pick up there in top lane, and you know, it's a little bit shaky for Bust, I think, you know? Unless he just wants to lock in Ornn again and call it a day, like, that's always a plan. The final thing, Gragas is open, and that champion is disgusting, and it is Akkas' most played this season.
wouldn't be surprised to see it first picked. Obviously, hesitating a little bit, just try and feel it out. Getting the Orianna as well out of the way. I mean, it did definitely work last game as well.
These were the
Ruddy
best
looking
bits.
to stay very consistent with last game and kind of lead with 2 picks that, I don't know, you aren't really tempted to build against something like a Rel, are you? And once Orianna's slammed on the table, you just kind of like, oh, yeah, you know what that is, right?
I mean, yeah, Orianna's fitting everywhere, and like we saw, QQR doesn't really have a good answer to it. Like, it's a great pick for QQR. He'd want to play it every game if he could. And, you know, we saw last game that Orianna is the overall, he's just the most neutral. Like, you can put Orianna in any single comp you want. She truly does not care. And then it's like, well, what's the response? We're going to do Vega. He didn't really fit too well. Now it's the Corki, which is fine, but then this may go downhill, because now what happens if they pick like a big frontliners? You know, we get frontline, top lane, you know, we pick the Gragas here, and then we take for ourselves, we take the Xin Zhao or something on R4, and it's Corki's now. His rockets can't really get through. Maybe there's someone who can disengage him when he packages in. Orianna's never going to have that problem. You know, you cannot pick a comp to beat Orianna. There are some things that will work against QQR's legendary Corki. Ooh, bit of a timeless classic coming up in the jungle here.
I just like that. Yeah,
No, you guys don't know.
It's a good pickup here. It's good, obviously, into the Rel. It stops a lot of those potential really strong junglers that have been popping up. The Xin Zhao, you're not a fan, Doctor. You're not a fan of the Pork Poppy.
It's Pork Poppy. See, this is what you
Porpy. Is there something we're missing?
The Porpy is the ultimate pocket pick. It's crazy. He does not pull it out very often. I've actually asked him why. I forget why it was, but like this has historically been Porp's just his champ. Like Porp is an absolute menace on Poppy. I'm interested to see what he's doing like build wise, because we've seen some things where people fall behind, they go for you know, like Thunder Sky and stuff, and Porp he's been one of the people who does go for like Domination Tree and go for like Dark Harvest or maybe like Predator or something like that. I'm interested to see what he's going to do. He's probably going to do something boring because it is a pretty high stakes game, to say the least. But you know, Poppy is far and away Porp's absolute signature champion. And we can maybe expect to see a little bit of cookery coming up in the jungle this game, by which I mean him sitting and waiting for 35 seconds for a gank to happen.
I mean, hell, hear me out. If you're in an elimination round in lower side of, like, this could be, and you're also a game down, this could be the last ever you do, when's a better time to throw out, like, a pocket pick that you know people might want to see, have a bit of fun with it? If you're going to go down swinging, and maybe it'll work. I also don't necessarily think this is where Lionscreed dies here. I mean, hell, my prediction was 2-1. We're currently seeing 1 in the favor of Ruddy. Lionscreed is not out of this just yet. I also really like the ban on Ruddy of getting rid of that Aatrox. You've seen what Buzz can do on it. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's what I say now. It's not even that great in the lane. Maybe it will be. But if you lock in Leona here for Heathen, obviously Bust is new. So we don't really know what Bust's... well, I say new, to, you know, relatively speaking. So the whole theme. But if you put like Heathen on Leona here, you could not have more, you know, iconic characters or iconic champions for this roster. Like Spark's on a hyper carry, Porp's playing Poppy, QQR's playing either Corki or Orianna, that's fine. And then again, Heathen on like engaged support, just put Heathen on Leona, timeless again. And you've now got long range engage combo potential. Like there's a lot of options here, and you know, engaging onto the center as well. Like, you know, there is very few comps that Lionscreed know better than something like this.
Yeah, it comes down to the last picks. Really like Cassante, just classic heavy sweeper, right? You can't. Is there really a lane where Cassante can go wrong here? I don't really think so.
Kale.
I don't see Akers pulling it out. I've got to be honest with you. I could not see Akers pulling it out. The Renata right now, I would really like. Alistair, okay, I don't love that quite as much as the potential Renata. You do have a pretty strong 2v2 alongside that Varus, especially once you get to that level 6. You've got a lot of power early on. If you can ever catch Jamsu on a roam trying to get elsewhere, then you can definitely catch on to Sin, so that's a potential avenue to try to play for. The fact that it is the rail into the...
Okay, so we don't see the KO, but we see the Vayne. Fine.
I was literally just thinking Ruddy cannot afford to pick something that like is just tank, no damage, because otherwise you're banking so hard on Senna or Orianna to do everything. I really like this Vayne here. You're looking down
Yeah.
the barrel at Cassante, Alistar. You can shred those where no one else on your team really can get away with it. You play that long range game. Poppy as well is going to kind of struggle to get close to you. You can go toe to toe with Varus. I think I really like the Vayne here.
Counterpoint. We've seen Akers be a bit of a tilter before. We get a little bit of action up top. Again, a little bit. Just a tad. Not too much. A little bit. Small amount. Not big. We get Porp up in the top lane just to set Akers behind. Kill Akers before he can get the 1100 gold reset for boots. Things like that. Especially if Bust hits level 6. Then it's huge, right? If Bust can start winning. Because the thing about ranged top laners is they're putting a very fine, very, very fine line. And if ever you make that mistake, you do die. If you don't make the mistake, you kingdom. But if you do make the mistake, you will get punished for it. And so Porp just has to get the ball rolling up there.
I guess how much of how that goes specifically. I'm about it though. The only other thing I'm thinking as well is that Poppy, whether obviously not intended, because I don't think anyone really saw that Vayne coming. If Poppy can kind of catch you asleep at the wheel, I don't think there's much Vayne can really do once a Poppy's in on them with that aura up as well. I'm excited to see it. Doctor, you've hyped up the Poppy. You've got me excited. It's one of my favorite champs to watch. I think they're incredible in a team fight. They're incredibly fun as well on ganks. You've got me excited for it. I think the only other thing to do is go down the line, start with block set, end with me. Does the set end here? What do we think?
Yeah, it's dunzoed. Vayne top has to win. I like it. I really like that pickup.
Bold claim, Doctor.
I'm going to be really mad if Porp doesn't go top after last game and the Vayne top does win. I mean, again, you couldn't have a more iconic Lionscreed comp if you tried.
All I've got to say on this, show me game 3. Casters, show it to me.
I've been thinking about this a lot, okay? The draft, it feels familiar, Rev, okay? Middlecop works on the NLC. Veteran, also on the NLC. I look on the Twitter, every week, my man Veteran says if you don't pick Vayne here, you're griefing. You're losing the game. Middlecop has seen this, and now he's picked Vayne, Rev. But do you like it? Do you like the pick?
I mean, I love it. Honestly, I was looking at the draft. I'm looking at the triple frontline setup from the side of Lionscreed Academy, and I'm thinking, how will the Senna ever deal with this before getting to 3 items? Because you go into the lethality build, yes, you might be picking up the LDR, second, third item, but it's still not too much damage. So I'm thinking, I don't know, Aker's Fiora, something that can shred, and the absolute madlad goes and picks the Vayne. Now, his only goal is to survive. Survive 20-25 minutes into the game. Then he will look at you and he will smolder your butt with 3 auto attacks.
I'm really excited, to be honest, because part of me's is it going to work? Is it going to not work? We're going to find out in time, right? And obviously time, something that Ruddy are going to be pretty happy about, right? Vayne, Senna, you're going to scale pretty nicely. I think that it does go really well into the comp as well, right? Playing against Cassante, you can absolutely shred them. Also with the Poppy, as long as you don't get caught out early, like Doctor was saying, if there is maybe some potential play on the top side, Akers could be getting shut down and it could just make the game quite miserable. And obviously, you have to think about the range coming out from the Corki and the Varus, but all in all, I'm liking the pick from Ruddy. I'm looking for the 2-0, right? I know people on the desk were like, oh yeah, let's go for a series. Yeah, we all love 3 games, but I want to be right, Rev.
Yeah, I mean, being right is worth way more. I've been in relationships, okay? I am a man. I'm not often right in those relationships. So sometimes I want to have that little feeling, okay? Sometimes I want to feel like my opinion matters. Like I know what I'm talking about. I'm not even a play-by-play man. You can just yap you and nobody will blink an eye. If I just start yapping, people's gonna be complaining. What the heck is he doing here?
We'll talk about what they're doing here. Spark has taken a lot of damage from sin in that trade, and now we're seeing Bust also receiving a bit of a rough trade against Akers, who was taking quite a lot of control in this lane. Now we're seeing Porp is going down to the bot side, so looking for a bot lane gank potentially, but Heathen and Spark taking quite a bit of damage. That wave is going to be pushed in. And on the flip side, Crisis going up to the top side. So we're not going to see that early gank onto Akers as potentially predicted by Doctor.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard, especially when Akers has those wards timer. So he has placed a very deep ward. He's gonna be seeing a Poppy from a mile away, unless Pop is gonna be doing some weird flashing around bushes. So it's really hard to get on top of the lane. So you can just condemn your way, and it's game over. Now, on the other hand, where do you play as Pop? Because usually the Varus is a very aggressive lane. You can push with it, especially with Alistar. Hypothetically, you have that free setup, okay? Nobody can dodge the headbutt pulverize combo on 35-50 ping. But do you really have that? The Senna lane usually deals with the Varus quite well, especially when the Varus goes into that little tempo on hit build, because you will not have that range advantage ever. You will not be able to pressure from miles away with your spells. You have that little bit of counter synergy with your mid laner who will just gonna want to shoot rockets from 30,000 yards away, or whatever British people count centimeters with. And
Well, you say meters, yeah.
meters, yeah, really?
Yeah,
I've heard a little bit of feet, so that's why. I was
Yeah,
jabbing,
it's
but-
we kind of just switch it up with whatever we feel like on the day. To be honest, like it's quite confusing actually. Like you'd be surprised because we use miles, but then we also use meters. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Kinda based, not gonna lie. But yeah, sure. I feel that's a little bit of counter synergy in. Later on in the game, yes, you're gonna be scaling. You'll have that on hit. You'll have that range. You'll have the triple front line, which will almost never die. But what's the actual early game win condition right now from Lionscreed?
well, normally like early game is in their thing. So if they are drafting for the early game and you're saying that they have to play early game, well, we need a lot of nuances in this one. I think that they're obviously. It's a very strong mid game for them, which we might see, but right now this bot lane is going to be getting ganked on. That is the lockdown on to Alistar, and now in a lot of trouble. It feels like First Blood is on the horizon, and do they give it to Sin? Yes, they do.
Yep, and Senna with early kills can be a nuisance to deal with. She can heal, she can poke, she can just run you down, she can do everything that you want her to, bar, I don't know, make a cup of espresso. In the top lane, Pop shows his face, gets the ghost from Makers. That's a small W in my books.
Yeah, small W. You said about the ganks potentially making an impact. How they will see them from a mile away. Did have to react, did have to go. Still has flash though, so not completely in trouble. As we get to see a replay of what happened in the bot lane.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an unlucky timing from the Hidden. He did not calculate that Crisis will be in the bottom side of the map, so he just wanted to provide a little bit of poke, make sure that the Nautilus cannot keep perma-hooking you on cooldown and harassing you in lane. That's a nice thought, but I'm not sure where Pop was at the same time, because when you do that, you want to be able to make sure that if the enemy jungle is there, your jungle can be there as well. You can turn the tides into your favor. Pop was not near enough, and they got punished for it.
And we talked about the slow scaling nature that Ruddy can have, right? They don't need to push the pressure, but they are already starting to find a bit of kills. I'm seeing mid-game, right, Rev? Like, you kind of talked about where's their early game condition. I'm feeling like the poke coming out from Corki and Varus. That's what I'm in my mind looking at.
Well, I would tend to agree. The thing is that Varus is going for that on-hit build, right? He's going for the Blade of the Ruined King, the, I don't know, whatever second item, the Terminus. He's going to be able to have his APM up in the 4 digits and right-click you into Oblivion. So you're only looking at Corki, and will Corki be able to deal with a Vayne, an Orianna, and a Senna? Because if you just deal with one of them, that's fine. You collapse, you do your all-in, you do your Fanny Cassandra business, and you get one of them away. But then there's either the Orianna ball waiting to shockwave you, there's either the Senna waiting to heal her own front line and play that front to back, and of course we can never forget about the Vayne.
Well, here we go. Dive going to be coming straight through. No escape possible for Sin. And they'll be taken down. Spark going to be able to pick up that kill. And now Jamsu might be the next on the list here. Although the dive not going to come through once again. They've got their prize. They've got the kill onto Sin. And that's what they're happy about. So this maybe is the key, right? We heard Doctor say it. It's the poor P. So maybe this is the key factor.
Yeah, it should be the key factor. And that was such a nice play and a smart play, honestly, because it did not start there. It started when Bast face checked the river, and so Crisis starting the 2 remaining grabs. So that means that Crisis cannot be bottom lane, he cannot react in time, and Pop, decisive as ever, he flashes in, never gives a chance to Sin to either ghost away or flash away from the wall, make sure that he can never move. A clean dive from the side of Lionscreed.
Ooh, now Crisis. Rearing his head in the top side. We talked about Akers needing to get ahead, needing to be strong in this game. This could definitely be the play as Bust is stepping up, falling into the trap. Here's the final hour, and it might be the final hour for Bust, but now here comes Poppy as well. Akers going into the wrong hands and going to fall down.
Yeah, Crisis not comfortable enough on this rail, maybe not enough games. He misses a Q once again, and you cannot afford that, especially versus Cassandra, because he is the OG 2013 funny champion. He can do his funny business all over your team, and that he did. 20 CS behind, just a singular chainmail, doesn't matter, goes all out, make sure you die within the next 10 seconds or so.
And it's a little bit unlucky from Akers, right? If he tumbles up topside, he gets away from the Poppy, but going straight into the hands of Porb, you have no chance, right? You're not getting past the steadfast presence, and it's a really nice timing there from Porb, and once again finding a bit of success. So maybe they are going to be able to find their way into leveraging this into a win for themselves. Right now, though, objectively, Ruddy's still very much in control. 1 dragon plus the 2 grubs. Gold completely even between the 2 teams. Rev, are we feeling like quite happy about the neutrality of the game?
Yeah, I'm feeling quite happy. For Ruddy, they are chilling. Yes, some plays could have gone better for them. Yes, they have some, I don't know, their pants are on fire or have ants, whatever. They are antsy to make plays and they backfire sometimes. But I also see some really nice thoughts about the game. They are not just autopiloting the best build. I see the Boots of Swiftness for Akers. He just wants to be able to space the enemy front line. That's excellent. I see Blade of the Ruined King being built up for Sin, and that's excellent. You're playing versus 3 HP building, HP stacking actually, frontliners, so having that extra on-hit damage, having that extra max HP enemy damage is gonna pay dividends for you, and I just wanna see how deep into this on-hit build will he go. Will he build the Berserker Greaves as well, or will he rotate into the lethality from that point onwards?
Orb back in the spot lane, looking for another gank. We do have Crisis in close proximity, but not in the vicinity right now, and they do need to be cautious. And I will say, Ruddy, one thing I've really respected about them in the whole series, not just this game, is that they have been very respectful of knowing that a jungler could be near and therefore playing away from it, and Sin just not getting caught out very often. So I do like that they're kind of being very mindful of it, and they are playing to their strengths. They know that they can just scale and they don't need to give any sort of advantages over to Lionscreed, but now the dragon is spawning, Rev, and are we potentially going to see a fight for this?
Yeah, quite probably. Now, QQR is abandoning ways for this. I'm not sure if he has access to that package. He has it, so that's why they're trying to...
Oh, and they're going to go in. Here comes the TPs. Porp in the mixer, but not going to be able to latch onto anyone just yet. Finally going to get the stun off onto Jamsu, and that will be an easy pickup. But for what cost? They TP'd down into this bot side. Now Vayne able to get some tower platings for free and build that lead even more.
Yeah, thing is, you don't just want the plating for the Vayne. You got the kill, you got the Drake. The enemy needs to retaliate even further. If they get all 3 of the remaining grabs as well, that's what I'm gonna go an even trade. But anything less than that, it's gonna be a harsh time. Of course, the Vayne getting access to those blades, making sure that she can accelerate her build into that Blade of the Ruined King and so forth is fine. Or Sin.
Play coming out from the Heathen. Great flash away from Sin. Will keep them out of the clutches of Porb, who tried to slam them into that wall, and now a bit of damage will be retaliated, but they have to be careful. It's still a 3 versus 2 situation. But actually, Ruddy are very happy to see this fight. Ignite on Porb will force them to back away, and Spark now actually potentially going to get into trouble, but QQR is in the vicinity. That's going to be 1 kill over to Sin, but do they keep pressing? They know the Corki is here, and they're going to keep stepping forward, but Jamsu is going to go down, and Keto with the flash gets away from the knockback. Does does not allow to be stopped, and now QQR gonna have to flash for their own life. Sin and Spark just battling it out underneath this tower as Ketsuo looking to pick up the kill, and what looked so good for Lionscreed has ended so well for Ruddy. Spark gonna have to flash as well. Maybe no kill here for Ketsuo, but the fact that they burned all of these summoners, Rev, and invested so much into this play, and Ruddy still came out on top, is massive.
Yeah, that's the build difference. The Senna can actually deal damage to your front line right now. That's excellent from Sin. He managed to flash away at the brink of an eye, like completely last moment. And that's Jover. When he is granted that space, he can just auto-attack you into oblivion now. It's going to be a little bit harder though.
Yeah, Sin is going to be caught out here, but Spark not really that interested in the fight, and it's all the Heathen who, to be fair, is doing quite a bit of damage to this ADC, but it's going to be traded pretty far back, and Sin had to go to base anyway, so not going to be super unhappy with it, but we'll be on a little bit of a delay timer.
Yep, a delay timer, or maybe not resetting at all. He is quite so no access to that ultimate, no access to that W, most likely than not that Q is the most important spell at the end of the day, but who is not at the delay timer is that Vayne. Blade completed, now Cassandra's lane should become kinda unplayable.
And it's been a tough day, for Bust overall, and it doesn't look like it's getting any easier because, as you said, Bork getting that slow off as well, really forcing these trades now. That's over half the HP gone and just trying to leave the lane. Now going to have to go back to base, no TP, and that tower is going to be getting melted as well. It looks like they have to stay too, but Porp is making their way up top.
Yeah, I'd like to see Crisis make his way at top immediately, like abandon all of your camps. Your top laner is gonna do a funny play, he's gonna get the first tower blood, he's gonna be so far ahead, and it's a champion which you want to see ahead. So go top and make sure that no funny business can happen over there. Just hover, you're playing Grell, you're playing one of the lowest economy junglers in the game ever, so you don't need to do anything for the team except for existing.
Porp is putting himself in a really dangerous position here. The tower's going to go down. There's the stun, the knock-up as well. And Porp really going to try and get this knock away, but it's not the right target. We'll get the stun onto Akers, but one tumble, one shot, it's going to be enough. And another kill over to the Vayne. Another positive play for Ruddy. And are we starting to get a bit nervous, Rev, if you're a Lionscreed fan?
Yeah, I would get really nervous. It's all up to QQR. He's getting caught.
Flash hook. Goodbye, QQR. Ruddy coming in with the hot stuff, but now they're even trying to turn it around, but no one was taking tower. Ag and Sin just walking away, and Bust not on a timing to do anything either. And look at the health shred as well. We'll be able to get a bit of damage onto Jamsu. Should be able to pick up this kill as well. But again, small trades from Ruddy. Once again, picking up the important kills.
Yep, you are getting a kill onto their mid laner as well. That's 2-0 for Ketso. He's getting stronger. He wants that 2-3 item spike so he can one-shot you with the shockwave, and he's getting there as well. Another recurve bow, no change for pickaxe for Akers. He's gonna be building that Rage Blade more likely than not. He's getting there as well. Another dagger for Sin. They are scaling so well, and the most important part is that they're not giving a lot of space towards Lionscreed as well. So QQR has been abandoning wave. He's 20 CS behind. He hasn't been getting any plates, and he's still not getting a lot of contribution into those fights. Yes, you're kind of ahead for in the Varus lane, but I'm seeing Senna close to 50 souls already from the 60 souls onward, especially in the AD carry position, because you're getting so much gold when you're farming. The Varus will never be able to actually trade versus you. His ultimate is gonna do nothing at all.
And I feel like an unsung hero that we haven't talked about as well as Ketsuo. I feel like Ketsuo has really controlled a lot of these team fights, right? With those shockwaves, with the damage, with being able to rotate as well, and really held QQR down. And we talked about how dangerous that QQR Corki was in the earlier parts of the split. And the fact that they're able to nullify it has been massive. Now, Dragon going to be spawning up. Corki does have the package, and they are looking to take this one down. But the Rift Herald spawned mid should be able to just take this tower. They don't even need to necessarily contend for this. In with the knockups, the Rift usage is a little bit crazy. as Crisis just keeps running around, but there's the package into the back line. QQ are now getting stunned down and being chased. The final hour from Akers is there, but in the mixer, we see hooks flying, but Ruddy are dying as Spark is absolutely able to just step up and root through this team. But here comes Vayne. Akers back in it, but immediately stunned and CC locked, and it's all gone wrong for Ruddy.
It's all gone well for Lionscreed though, and Pope with his signature Poppy, he's been the huge MVP, getting Sin away from the fight, making sure that the enemy is always split, someone run away trying to chase Bust, and that's not the play, my dudes, that's not the way to go. That means that the second Drake plus a huge fight goes in the way of Lionscreed.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about the Rift Herald usage there. I think that made it a bit messy.
Well, it was ambitious.
Yeah, especially how long they held on to it. But at the same time, it's a small stumble, right? Gold is now even. Lionscreed going to be pretty happy with the fight win. Another dragon on their name as well. So not going to be too worried, although it is Cloud Soul. So I don't know how impactful that would really be for either team. Maybe pretty nice on Akers. But we're still a long way from Lionscreed being comfortable.
I honestly, let's not talk about the soul at all. I really like those individual Cloud Drakes, where we say the Tokyo Drake thing. I wonder when you know what they do in Tokyo. And then he just crashes way too far away, so he's disconnected forever in the fight, where he's supposed to be the big front line for his team. So that's not the way to go for Crisis. But yeah, I really love the individual Cloud Drakes, because what does Ruddy want to do? They want to use their range advantage, use their movement speed advantage, and be able to kite you. And when you cannot slow them with that blade, because you're getting all that slow resistance, and they run faster because they got all those individual Cloud Drakes, that's huge.
Here we go, another big fight and another big pick. It's all the way Lionscreed at the moment, and they are just finding what they need every single time. Another kill gonna go their way, and now I'm starting to think, actually, Lionscreed might have found their successful moment.
Yep, and when I was talking about the good itemization for the side of Ruddy, it seems that they have some bad as well, because I'm looking at the double Frozen Heart, an item which was nerfed. Yes, the usage here is fine, but you don't need to go double. One of your frontline needs to be able to slow the attack speed. One frontline plays for utility, the other plays for the HP and the bulkiness, and Bust is dead, I think.
Yeah, this is tough, you know. Oh. You can't, you can flash, but the Vayne will chase you. You know, the Vayne will get you, and the Hunter will get their prey. It's another kill going the way of Akers, and we have to say, right, we talked about how the late game is going to be playing out for Ruddy. I still think that if you're a Ruddy fan, you're not going to be pulling your hair out. You're not going to go bald like Don Jake, because you got time still left on the clock.
Yep, you got time to build up your front line, making sure that you don't suffer from the poke as well. Of course, Lionscreed Academy also has time. We may be talking, I may be yapping actually about the triple front line, but one of that front line, whenever he finds a chance, whenever he finds the angle, he can go all out. He's not a front line anymore. He's a backline assassin, and that can actually hurt if he finds the good angle and then reset his W as well, so he will never get crowd control. You got the Corki, that champion scales into oblivion. The Varus, I've been really skeptical about the Varus, but 602, 2.5 items under his belt. Spark, he's sparking right now.
Yeah, and if we can have a quick look at the gold difference as well, because it's even at the top, but let's see where it really lies, right? Obviously, we're expecting big gold lead from Akers, should be a massive gold lead from the Varus. Yeah, 2k gold lead from the Varus, 2k over to the Vayne as well, and a little bit of discrepancies in the jungle and the mid to either side. So, all in all, big carry pants are on for the side of Spark and also Akers.
Yep, it's a battle of marksmen, and one of them does not even play in the ADC position, so really interesting to see how those next fights will erupt. All in all, Lionscreed has the easiest plan, okay? They don't have to overthink, they don't have to create and craft elaborate plans. You will position here, we will only click upwards and 30 yards towards the side. No, they can just play front to back, pop engages, the hidden engages, bust engages, and your two carries will just be dealing out tons of damage from the other side around. And all of that can bring a lot of mental exhaustion for the side of Ruddy as well.
What's happening? Akers was chasing Bust there. You're saying Bust engages. So almost like Bust might be getting caught out and dead. But the package going to be picked up once again. Dragon has spawned. The package is in. This is the expectation. You said about go for the frontline engage. It looks like this is the plan. They're walking it down mid. They're trying to buy a bit of space to open up for this Dragon.
Oh, there's engage.
Oh, here we go. That's a big engage from Ruddy, though. It is going to be stopped a little bit by the Corgi package. And where's the follow-up damage? Right now, Sin not able to get into the fight with Akers. And it's just, again, another fight that goes the way of Lionscreed because Ruddy, they can't walk into the fight. The package just cutting them off too well.
Yeah, you said it's gonna be stopped a little bit by the package, but honestly, no, the package was the game breaker for the side of Lionscreed Academy. Nobody could step up. Everyone tried to avoid something. They stopped on the package. They got chunked into oblivion. And now, that's not Drake, but that's something better going for the side of Lionscreed Academy. They're getting the Baron 22 minutes into the game.
Baron should be easily secured. Dragon was looking to be traded, but they haven't managed to get it just yet. And built.
No, double.
That's not built even. Sorry, Bust is going to cause big problems for Sin here. Going to go absolutely mental there. All out was utilized. Not going to be able to get the kill onto Sin, but will be able to force Ruddy away from that Drake. So Lionscreed claiming it all. And what a difference this has made from the start of this game to now. They're making these fights their own. But have they gone a little bit too far? Another fight is calling, and Ruddy are starting to get a little bit close here. The Heathen in trouble will drop immediately, and now maybe Ruddy could find a bit of a resurgence here. That's 2 kills already. Can they get more? Hook gonna go wide, and Spark will therefore stay alive. Dragon also gonna be secured, and Ruddy getting a little bit of relief from Lionscreed overstepping.
Yeah, you see that League of Legends is not a capitalist game, okay? You cannot take everything on the map. You have to respect the enemy's move as well, even though it's not a turn-based game. And they did not. Lionscreed Academy wanted everything right now. They say, hey, Baron, give me. Soul Point, give me. But no, you don't have summoners. You don't have your spells. You haven't recalled. You haven't bought items. You have nothing right now. So Ruddy recognizes that window, goes all into the fight, and although the first fight was excellent, look at QQR. That split package into the Valkyrie into the pit means that everyone is stepping over the package to try and fight. Everyone's getting chunked out. Nobody has the space to deal the damage. Afterwards, they're getting punished. They're losing half of their Baron buffs, and they're losing the Soul Point as well.
Yeah, unreal play there from the Corki. We talk about QQR's Corki all the time in the regular season, and showing exactly why the pick is so feared. But if we look at the gold, it's pretty even between the two teams, even with the Baron going the way of Lionscreed and a few kills over the top, because it's only about 1k rev. So right now, Ruddy still very much in the game, still very close at the top, and I feel like the later we go, the better their chances, right? We all know about the late game Vayne. We've all seen the late game Ori, and obviously Senna, a forever scaling champion. The question is, though, how do they make their team fight work?
Well, honestly, you need to start stacking on the Senna. I'd really love to see the LDR being picked up second, so you don't have to walk up. You can just auto-attack whoever the Vayne is auto-attacking and make sure that they are melted down, even if it's the All-Star with their ultimate. You should be able to melt them with Vayne's true damage. But it's hard because Corki creates so much space for your team with the package, and QQR's package uses have been lovely. The Hidden also, you just combo somebody, you get all the attention on top of yourself, your carries can dish out as much damage as they'd like, right? And we never must forget the Cassante. He is the funny champion in my books. Just press W, never get crowd controls, break the camera angle as well. I don't know, he does everything.
Yeah, he does it all, right? And we got to remind the people at home, this is a knockout. Whoever loses this series will not be continuing their season, right? They will be gone. The winner will be taking on Venom Crest in the lower bracket finals to take a chance at taking on Paragon in the finals. And Ruddy are 1-0 up. So it's a must-win for Lionscreed if they want to keep playing League of Legends this season. And also, it's a matchup, Rev, that we've seen many a times. And we've also seen Ruddy be 1-up again in playoffs before. So we're hoping to see that maybe times have changed if you're a Ruddy fan. But if you're Lionscreed, you're kind of preying on the historical wins of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. You're kind of playing that, hey, we're still the number one, almost in the league. We started out so well. We won versus everyone. Yes, of course, afterwards there was a little bit of a fall down, but you kind of need those slaps, right? When you want to grow as a team, you have to learn about your mistakes. Sometimes you cannot see them from a first-person perspective, and you have to take those slaps. But right now, you've taken enough of those slaps. You're back into the game. You got into the versus Verzik. You got pinned against the wall, and Verzik also was trash talking a lot, and you're still here. So you should come out of this stronger than ever.
And I like this from Crisis, hovering over their ADC, or sorry, their top laner. As right now, Porp going to make their way up top side, but this could be dangerous. There's the Magnet Storm, and now the fight back. Porp, though, isolating just Akers, but may be in trouble here. Has to run away, but causing a little bit of a discrepancy, trying to force away the Vayne. The Vayne is still moving forwards, and Akers is going to be able to find one, but here comes the Heathen, making their presence known. However, the knockup onto Kuki are going to force back Lionscreed, and they are starting to fall, but not low enough, and Crisis will be taken down by the tower. Good fight from Ruddy, but a little bit too far overstepped. We'll lose them one back.
Yeah, Akers is an absolute beast with his Summoner Zone. Give him a little bit of space and he'll run you down. Everything else went wrong for the side of Ruddy. Okay, Sin was not there. Jamsu lost every hook, but look at Akers. The spacing, excellent. The DPS, excellent. And even Crisis played that fight as well as possible. The Terrible comes back. He gets everything thrown on top of him, but doesn't matter. Just click on forwards. That's a Gosu moment in my books.
Indeed, and I really like the Shockwave as well, to pull in QQR and Spark, give them a little bit of worry so they can just focus on Heathen. They make that space, they open it up, but the tower is still there, and I feel like Ruddy just don't respect that enough. They do get caught out, but they pick up that tier 2 tower rev, they increase that gold, they increase another fight, but we are going to go back into the game with Lionscreed picking up another dragon.
Yeah, and I really like that this time Ruddy was not there to just do what I like to call the tourist objective. You go when the enemy team is taking the objective and just snap pictures of them, because you cannot fight. They are there on the other side of the map. They try to set up some waves. Not enough in my books, to be honest. The bot wave is awful, but you dealt with the package. You don't have to worry about this for the next 5 minutes. It's still not so for the side of Lionscreed, and although they are one-upping you on the Drakes, on the very important Cloud Drakes, I feel, it's still fine. You can go and threaten the Baron, you can go and threaten a 5v5 team fight without the male waiting for you.
And no package as well, as you said, so crucial, right? We've seen how much work it can do in these fights. The fact that they don't have it now means the Baron is that little bit harder to take, and obviously we've seen these fights go either way. Either team can win them, as we're now seeing Lionscreed start to go for this Baron. Has it been seen? Yes, a ward over the wall will spot them out, so Ruddy are aware, and Lionscreed, going to respect it, will back away. Do not want to give a free win to Ruddy.
Do they know that Ketso is away? Because I think they don't. The moment they see Ketso in the bottom lane, they can still walk up, they can still challenge the space, but Akers is having none of that. He's playing Vayne. He's 3 items deep in his build.
This is risky, Rev. This is risky. They're going for this play. It's 4 versus 5, as you said. Ketsuo's not there. And Poppy could have made the numbers even worse, although holding on because they can pick Jamsu here. This is an easy kill, gifted over. Jamsu with a good flash, trying to hook away, but going to be pulled back in. And now Akers needs to keep themselves far away, because you do not want to be getting caught next. The final hour going to be utilized. Porp locked down by Sin. But now a 4 versus 5 with no support. Ruddy in a tough situation when we see Lionscreed on Baron.
Yeah, no support, half of their front lane gone. The Baron will get started up and Ketso. This time he's closer, he's burning mid waves, but he cannot go further. The fight must erupt, it must be a 4v5, and Crisis is looking for that angle.
Heathen trying to play the game by a bit of time, but there's the shockwave, there's the kill onto Heathen as well, and Baron still up. Ruddy have held their own, they forced Lionscreed back, and they got the tier 2 tower mid.
No way, no way! This is our second game right now. It looks like a game 5, and Baron gets started once again. Jamsu runs back, but he still needs 10 to 15 seconds to be there.
Ketsuo
and it's all in hands of Akers.
Low mana on Ketsuo, doesn't have the ultimate. QQR stepping, looking for a bit of poke, and Ruddy just playing the time game. They are now the ones with the advantage. They have the extra man, but can they make it count? It looks like they're deciding, you know what, it's best for us just to reset. We don't need to overextend and lose here.
Yep, there's no need to do anything else. You just run back into the lanes, be first, set up your waves, get that extra gold, run back into your base, make sure that you are as strong as possible towards the upcoming fights. But oh my god, this game, it's so tense, man. I cannot.
One fight could end it all. You know, that's how it is. It's a one-fight game, could change it all. And we'll see who can win. Sin, I want to have a quick look at the souls. I wanted to have a little see how far we've got along that line there. 105, Rev.
That's huge. That's huge. She should be right now at close to 85% crit or so, with 2 crit items only. So those auto attacks are gonna hurt a lot. Plus the extra hit damage from the Blade of the Ruin King, plus the extra slow that she's applying. She can be even threatening in the Baron, and I think the plan right now is try and bait Lionscreed into a shockwave.
Oh, they are looking for it. Shockwave not on the mark just yet. And there's the knock away.
Okay, so it's away.
Ketsuo now, and they are going to start to dive in. Sin on the back line, still able to get a bit of
damage. Oh, look at Bust!
CC'd a lot, as we do see the Vayne just running away, but Bust is holding up the front line for Lionscreed. But here comes Ketsuo back into the fight, looking for QQR. Will they have the damage? He's very low, but he's not done yet. He finally falls down, and Pop will go down next. It is Ruddy, the hold strong in the fight. They did lose Akers in the other side, though, and the side of Lionscreed do still have Spark, so no Baron is going to be done just yet. A crazy fight, a lot of deaths, but no winner right now.
Not even just the Spark, they still have Bast, and Bast has his teleport, so they cannot play the fight. Now, Drake spawns 24 seconds, and in 24 seconds, Crisis will only be spawning, of course, Pop as well. But Akers has no teleport, QQR has a teleport. Lionscreed will always have that man advantage towards the Drake. So what do you do as Ruddy? Do you just abandon ship for the soul and play towards the other side of the map, or you try your luck?
We'll have to see what they decide. Right now, going through mid, they are giving themselves space to potentially play through this. Their jungler is up first, so Crisis will be there before Porp, but the Dragon might already be gone. They're trying to scout it out, but the Heathen playing bodyguard, not going to allow them in, and they are not willing to risk it. I think that's a smart call. The Dragon's already taken. They no longer have any choice.
Yep, and now I think QQR should have still access to his package, but they do not need it for any more Drakes. The Drake 6 minutes deep. I don't think you keep package that long. I think you try and force something around the Baron. If you manage to get away with the Baron, that's excellent. You start pushing waves, you have that extra range, you can siege, but the Baron now is melting.
Oh, but here comes QQR with the package. It's not going to be fast enough. Here comes the delivery straight onto Ketsuo, though. Not going to go into the middle of this fight, and that could potentially open up for Ruddy. Akers going to go on the chase as Jamsu getting absolutely burnt through.
Whoa.
Shockwave will catch out a couple, but no one in the backline. Just Spark actually was caught as Akers waiting out, had the final hour, but not able to get onto anyone, and QQR avoided the chase, didn't get caught out, and it's now back with the team, and Lionscreed trying to get an advantage, caps out Ketsuo. Status gonna have to be utilized, and they are starting to roam forward. This is their fight, this is their moment. They chase down Ruddy, and they start to win the fight. The kite is not enough, and Lionscreed will take the win, but can they take the game, Rev? A lot of towers still left, but they do have a wave in mid, and it's 40 seconds on the clock for most of Ruddy.
Yeah, they do have a wave, and they have the double marksman as well. I think that's the game, J-Rail. I think that's it. We're going into game 3. The score will be equalized. Jamsu has 0 wave clear, 0 ways to stop the Lionscreed Academy lineup from getting that huge W.
They're going forward, 15 seconds on the clock. As you said, Jamsu, no wave clear. They're focusing down the tower. This should be done. No chance for redemption in game number 2. Ruddy, you're gonna have to see this through in game number 3 as we close this one out. It's 1-1, and we have a series, Red.
Yep. The Lionscreed looked like they were done at some point in the game, but no, they're here to fight. They're here to earn their place into the top 3. They don't want to fall short of they're so close to the finals, but still, this is an elimination game for place number 4.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough team. It's a tough season. It's a cold world. But only one is going to heat up in game number 3. We're going to go to a quick break. Then our desk will break down what happened in game number 2. And we'll see you guys for the finale in game number 3.
It's been 2 long games, 2 slugfests that have ended very, very abruptly after such a long crawl. But here we are. It's 1-1. Ruddy's up by 1, Lionscreed up by 1. One of these teams is dropping out of the bracket after the next match. And oh my god, what doozies they have been. Dr. Black Bloxer, that was another masterclass. Thank you so much, Middlecut. Ruddy, unfortunately, not showing that one being a masterclass in their favor, but it was a masterclass indeed. How do we feel?
I mean, it's a masterclass in how to be Lionscreed Academy. Just go ahead, dive bot works every time. You know, we get Poppy for Porp, we get engaged support for Heathen. Call it a day. Just start bombing it down. Bot gets in nice and ahead, and look at what happens.
Yeah, it was exactly what you want out of Lionscreed. That was all of their best pickups, to be honest. And as we were saying in draft, like, it felt like there were ways that Ruddy could have gotten into that game, and I didn't necessarily dislike the draft. I thought that the Vayne top had a really good chance of popping off, and there were some really cool moments we saw, but it never felt like it fully came together in a cohesive set of plays that could really put you ahead. And Lionscreed, they were just so comfortable on their champions. They were just doing the sort of style that got them to this point in the first place. It really was a masterclass in Lionscreed.
It was, and I think that both games so far has been really much testament to what these two teams are and what they do. Literally waiting till late game to explode, and we've seen such a kind of pressure on scale champs to do that in game 1. In game 2, it very much came down to team fights, team comps, that kind of thing. I really liked how both teams handled the early game, especially laning phase in this second game, and it's when it came towards the end that we saw how many attempts at Baron was it? Was it 7 Baron fights initiated and disengaged? Which is like, but it's a testament to how aware both teams are of when it could be happening, when's the good time to go for it, when should we respond, that kind of thing. And I feel like that's the strategies that we're only going to see come to fruition in Game 3.
I mean, it was enough time on that Baron for the package to come up twice, so
yeah.
Neither team could really figure out what they wanted out of that. And I don't know, I'm just still thinking about the Vayne And the thing with the Vayne, again, Vayne top, like Vayne top in any matchup is you got to really play for it. And in comp, that's really difficult if you haven't got a turbo lead on your opponents. Because here you see, what's the Vayne going to do in this fight, right? QQR pulls... oh, no, this is the first one. No, it's the second one? God, I don't know. They all look the same. This is the second one, yeah. But, like, what can you really do when you've got a Varus and a... whatchamacallit? Whatever that champion's called. Corki. You're just going to get completely bogged out as you walk up here. Where's your front line gone? That guy's been deleted, and now we've got nothing. So... in terms of the draft, if we make a couple of changes, well, yeah, with step one, we probably don't give Corki, Varus, and Poppy on over it, to say the very least. That is pretty much the classic and timeless for LCA.
Yeah, falling back to a lot of the champions that we've seen time and time again throughout this whole season kind of come to head, really did rear up in that game, and it's a testament to why you also target your bans as much to the individual players as you do to like team comps, team styles. Because whereas yesterday, or Saturday, sorry, we did see QQR pick the Corki and then did actually kind of fall on back foot because of it, which was a scary spot to be in. This time, consistently across the whole of Four Nations, we've seen teams be like, we can deal with it. We know what the answer is. It's the same situation with Smolder than it is to QQR's Corki. Everyone thinks they've got the answer until they get slapped back down by it and be told, no, actually, maybe not. Bloxer, is there any like big changes that you'd want to see in the build-up in the draft phase from either of these two teams going into the third and final game?
I don't necessarily know that the Corki was the biggest problem. I think that, honestly, those Poppy ults were just huge. We were speaking about how just good Porp is on that Poppy, but every single time, it felt like you were set up for a fight, ready to go as Ruddy, and then the key member of the setup, whether it be the Rel or the Orianna, just got punted into next year, and you no longer have that bit of engage that you were relying on to get that fight started. The rest of the comp seemed like it was fine, but without having all of your members around, it wasn't working out. Alongside that, having all of your members to fights, we were talking about it both while we were watching the game and also in the green room, that moment where you're around the Baron and Ketsuo just goes on a little journey, little wander down to the bot lane, gets the bot wave not even properly pushing, doesn't have the teleport back up for another 45 seconds, a minute, so no way to rejoin onto that actual team fight, and it just meant that they were down members, and there were a couple of different moments actually for both teams where you were initiating fights and not having all of your members around. I think just cleaning that up a little bit could give us a much more solid and cohesive game 3, and I think both teams with those little changes could give us a real slugfest that doesn't feel like quite so hair-raising to watch, because those 7 attempts to start Baron, there were lots of other decisions that could have been made around that rather than just keep throwing yourself at that Baron.
I mean, even in terms of objective play, I do believe we have one more clip to show off, but we might not actually have it ready. I hadn't actually checked yet. There was a very fun little encounter down with Dragon where we had Rift Herald come in for Tokyo drifting, going round the side and back in again. Definitely one of the fights that kind of kicked off one of these big kind of game-defining scenarios. And it was, right there we go, it was right here. It was just an unfortunate use, I believe, of it just timing out, and if not, maybe just trying an interesting strategy to try and get in. And then Lionscreed just pick Ruddy apart for daring to try something like that.
And you see the vision, trying to get knock up, see if we can drive by to steal, because you can just like hop out and smite it. But ultimately, all that ends up happening is they're left behind, left in the back. Again, Akers is just going off on this solo mission to get 1 kill, but there's no like front line, after that, because the Rel has already gone down. So, what is really the plan there for the Vayne? It's hard to say. He goes down. Like, okay, I like the idea. I like the drift, especially if that turns into a steal. But it's just a bit disjointed. It's a bit split. I would like to say that is not something you'll ever see coming out from Lionscreed, but in the exact same place on the map in the first game, we did see that with that, first Drake fight that then started to get the ball rolling for Ruddy. And so maybe, this is something that both teams can sort of look to. It's hard to say that, Lionscreed are just better team fighters. They got better synergy than Ruddy because of that one fight, when we can balance it on the same hand with another. So both teams really need to lock in and figure out how they want to approach these fights before they actually happen, just so that we can be 100% sure that everyone's on the same page. That can either happen, in the comms before or during game, or it can happen in the draft. If you sometimes just pick the 5-man wombo comp so that you all only have one option, and that means you're all always going to be on the same page.
Now, Blocks, I'm going to aim this one towards you, but I don't think there were drafting issues per se in the last match. Quite the opposite, in fact. But it was a multitude of things kind of coming together to create an issue, right? We're talking about, we're seeing Ruddy not show up to team fights as a full 5 in time. And their team comp was actually really good for these late game picks and these late game fights and engages and the like. But we actually mentioned it during the drafting until that vein got locked to it. Okay, your damage is really centralized. Your tanking is really centralized. Do you reckon that was kind of part of the problem? Seeing something like Ketsuo moving away, you're losing that big chunk of your damage. What would you want to see change between Game 2 and Game 3? The decisive turning point for the finale. What needs to happen?
I'd like to see Jamsu on that Rel rather than Crisis. I think that Crisis didn't play a bad Rel game, but I think that Jamsu played an excellent Rel game. And I think that Jamsu's honestly better on picks that can carry a little bit more, rather than having to be that frontline engage. You saw multiple times where Crisis just wanted to go in and find that big play, as you would on something like a Viego, a Xin Zhao, a Lee Sin, but because you are pretty much the only real frontline, Jamsu was pretty squishy throughout the entirety of that game. The second that the Rel had died or gone in and lost most of her health, there was no real remaining frontline for Ruddy to actually play around. So potentially changing that pick around, getting a little bit more of a carry onto Crisis, I could like that. For Lionscreed, I think that the composition was pretty solid. I like the fact that they had that sort of back and forth combo between the Corki and the Varus. I really like that. If they can get themselves equally strong pickups in that mid lane that can unlock QQR to roam around and give Spark and Heathen something to really play towards, I think the top side of the map is doing its thing. You'd never really need to play around Bust, giving him a big tanky champion like the Cassante worked. Cassante, Ornn, even something like a Malphite, something like that where you could just sit top lane, you're going to help us out in the team fights. That seems about right.
I'm really curious how this final draft goes, because this is the tell-all game. It's do you rely on the knowledge that you've picked up from the past 2 games? Do you go back to form? We see a lot of people at this point kind of go for even salty runbacks. There's a lot of different ways you can approach this, and at the moment it's the same old story. It's just, okay, there goes Milio, there goes Karma, there goes Volibear. We're just getting the problems off the table.
Here's what I want to see. It's the tech, the switch up, yoink away the Orianna. That's crazy. Okay, so I was wondering if Ruddy would actually ban the Corki. I don't think the QQR's Corki is a problem. I think he's comfortable on it, but it's just a champion that does what he does. I don't think the Corki's the problem. I think you put him on any other control mage, you get the same game plan. And because that has been banned, I was actually thinking we'd intentionally leave the Varus open or something, get a bait B1 pick or something that we're not too worried about for Ruddy, so that the Orianna is open to be taken for Lionscreed. The Poppy was not banned. That would have been crazy if it was. But unfortunately now, Ketsuo can get the Orianna. And again, there's nothing QQR can really do against that. Or nothing that any champion can, or any mid laner can do with any champion against that. But maybe that's okay. Maybe Lionscreed is saying, fine, we just want QQR to have a chill lane. It just didn't really work out too well on the Vega before. And Cookie is his favorite scaling mage to match that. I don't know if his Zero is actually enabled, or if that's been fixed, or if he's still disabled, or if we ever disabled him, I'm not sure. But in terms of having a damage mage, I'm not sure.
Maybe he's not. I thought that the Azir had returned, but we haven't seen it in ages. Maybe a lot of mid laners have just they was disabled for a little bit, they've moved past it, have decided on some other things. The Gragas has been one of those pickups that we've seen just a ton. It's still really flexible. You can potentially put it into 3 different lanes. I'd expect it to be onto Porp, but then again, we know that Porp likes to go a little bit later. They're going to pick themselves up the Senna in this situation. I don't feel like the Senna did that much for Sin last time around. It was doing okay, but never really felt like it was either healing or dealing enough damage to really justify it over a couple of other picks.
Yeah, I don't know if I love it for Spark. I mean, I've seen it before. He does fine on it. But again, when I think Spark, I think Kog'Maw, Twitch, Tristana, Sivir. Some turbo carry late game machine. Senna is that, but she's also not that. So I've seen it before. It's gone very well. It's gone fine. But at the same time, it's not his style. Now, we pair that up with bearing in mind that Heathen can then be playing, again, another tank support, Nautilus, Alistair, Leona, whatever. We get Porp on the Gragas, bada bing, bada boom. We've got a nice dive comp set up. We can dive bot lane again, went very well last time. So there are a couple of options there, at least.
I don't think I've seen a Nocturne in a hot minute, so I'm actually kind of about this. It also you've seen the hand here of the Gragas being thrown out. Nocturne into it isn't actually that bad of a call, especially if you're going for like really early engages. I kind of like the idea of Ruddy thinking, okay, we've seen Gragas, we've seen Senna, we also know how Lionscreed like to play. What if we grab the early game by the horns and try and like really run with it and push that kind of pressure on an injury rather than letting you spiral? Alistar again?
They got it by the horns.
I guess so.
You mess with the bull, you get the horns.
You get the horns.
He's done it. It's tech.
Is it tech? I don't know how much I love it alongside the Senna in a lot of situations. I feel like the Alistar wants to either play a lot of defense, which you can do with the Senna, or get really aggressive in a bot lane alongside something more like a Vayne or a Draven or something. Instead, you're kind of conceding that your bot lane isn't really doing anything. You're not quite as effective on the roam as you are with a lot of other potential supports as well. So I'm not so sold on the Alistar. I think that right now you're setting yourselves up for a game for Ruddy where you have to just get going really early.
Look, we look at the team fight, for the Alistar Senna, it's huge. There's massive healing coming out of like both of them. Alistar's this big wall. He's an absolute unit. Great times. My problem here is that he hasn't actually got that much range on his engage. Again, compared to the Nautilus or the Leona, when it comes to the dive, it's going to be very obvious that it's the Alistar there. But that's fine, because if we can just get 1 or 2 dives off, it's okay. We get snowballing. What we need now is something with like a lot of damage, a lot of teamfight damage coming out for QQR. Is that going to be something like a Syndra? I think the Vega might not be able to cut it, because it's going to happen. Look, Porp goes in, just E-flash on the Gragas. He goes in, he goes crazy. Or maybe it'll be Bust.
Oh,
that's an option. That's someone who's going to bring out the damage whilst everyone is locked down and Senna is shooting through him. You just need someone to sprinkle a little something on top. And QQR on Trist, this is again something that we've seen before. Trist is kind of a control mage in some senses, given how you play it. And now, that's dive, that's roam, that's tower pressure as well. So we got a little something going on here.
I was gonna say, we saw Sparks Tristana on Saturday. It worked really nicely, especially in that mid. Oh, sorry,
Sparks, yeah.
QQR's Tristana in that mid lane on Saturday worked really nicely. It's also giving Lionscreed like a much needed kind of 80 damage boost that's gonna be fitting into this comp really nice. It's good for dive. It's good for roam as well. I'm really about it. There's Kog'Maw though as well on the side of Ruddy. We have seen Kog'Maw do some very silly things.
Wow.
We haven't given it that room to breathe. Olaf for the second game though, after the first one didn't go as great.
Well,
how do you guys feel about that?
The things. So I've been trying to cook up what is the solution to Gragas top, because nothing can beat him. If you're ranged, he's just gonna. He has ranged wave clear. He has sustain. Right. If you're melee, he just beats you by default with everything. Because he just body slams, pushes you off. Easy. The only champion that me and my friends have cooked up that could maybe do something against him is Olaf, because he doesn't lose to body slam by default. So fine, we pick. Instead of just accepting we're going to lose slightly or go even, they're going to pick the one thing that might be able to come out ahead versus a Gragas. The slight issue here is that we just send Gragas jungle. And now you've got the, Akaza's his Olaf up against Gwen. And it's like, well, who cares that he's immune? And like, Gwen has movement, she can dash, she can drop a W to not get slowed at max range. Like, I don't think this is great for Akaz. They have dive teamfight combo for sure with, Ketsuo being able to put the ball on either of that top side of the map. But, I mean, QQR can just jump out. And Spark should hopefully never even be in range to be ran at by the Olaf. So, I don't know about this one.
We started off game one. Part of our big bit of the production was, here's our featured matchup. It's top lane. It's Bust and Akaz. And I think that this final game kind of like comes back round to that point. I think whoever gets that lead, that kind of like bit of headway, is actually going to be really decisive in that top lane. Especially in the way of, Gwen, once you hit level 6, has a lot more she can do about Olaf than Olaf can do about her. He pops that out, runs in, and she will just probably walk away. You've got E, you've got tons of movement on you. You can just ignore it. But final thing. I want to get these predictions back up on the screen, and we're going to see where we stand. So, Doctor, you're out the running. You don't get a say in this. You are going to get a say in this, but you don't get to pretend like you're right. But the other two of us...
To ignore the first game.
If you ignore the first game, yeah. But the other two of us is a lot of contention. So, Bloxer, I'll start with you. 2-1, are you still feeling it?
I'm still feeling it. I really like the Cogmore. I think that it's, as B-Tech Smolder, and even B-Tech Smolder is really, really strong, and I think that there's a lot to be done with Crisis on this Nocturne. I think that you can get really aggressive. We do just have to watch it, though. The second that Nocturne ticks 6, if that first gank doesn't at least get you a flash and a lot of damage and pressure onto a lane, if not a kill, then it's not looking so good. But if that first one does and you get yourself a kill and you get rolling, then this can just absolutely pop off. So I like the composition that Ruddy's gone for, and I think that they really struggle to win 2 games in a row, but I think they're usually pretty good for 2 games in a series.
Doctor, obviously you're already out the runnings, but if you had to chuck a 1 on what side, are you still Lionscreed favored, or are you leaning more towards the Ruddy side?
I mean, it's still Lionscreed, especially looking at this game. I mean, I feel there's so much potential for that Olaf to go wrong, and it feels like something that was picked just for the Gragas matchup, and now it's not against the Gragas, and it was always a chance it was never going to be against the Gragas, right? So I think that really just doesn't... I mean, there's obviously an idea there, but it's just so high risk, high reward, and again, in times where we've seen where Akers needs to be the guy recently, it hasn't gone so well. Last game, on the vein, it didn't get the turbo snowball that he needed when he picks just for the 1v1. We saw it last week when he was the Gragas, the only person who was ahead. They couldn't really turn it into anything, and he was playing a bit safe, even though he had to be the one to make plays to get the team going. And the game before on the Garen, again, a pick that was just for the 1v1, and he didn't really get anything going out of it, and he didn't look too comfortable on the champion, and ends up, again, just sort of getting nothing done and trying to do the opposite of what he needs. So now that he's not even got the winning lane 1v1, I'm not huge on it.
Now, you said a lot of words and a lot of really good points in there. I'm going to stay on 2-1 to Lionscreed. I like Gwen, and that's like, I think she's cool, I think she's fun. But also, no, I do like their draft. I really like the kind of like way that they can counterpick you, even though that they've already locked it in. And I think there's a lot going on this match. I think it's going to be a long one. Buckle in, it's going to be 30 to 40 minutes. I'm calling that one right now. And the casters are going to be the ones that have to take it away. So, good luck, have fun, and let's see who wins.
Blue side has won every round, Rev. Ruddy or blue side, Ruddy, you're going to win.
Oh, that doesn't sound biased at all, honestly. But yeah, it's gonna be banger either ways. Those were some drafts we were expecting half of those picks, maybe not the rest. I was kind of yelling about Nocturne last time around. Now it comes back. I am a
Is he already paranoid?
Oh, good one. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's still fine. I like a little bit more the Olaf than our desk. I think that it's maybe not great into the Gwen, but it's great when you're trying to dive the enemy team and the enemy team is trying to buster shot you, headbutt you, pulverize you away and whatnot. So if he gets ahead with some magical way or with the might of his axis, he could spread a lot of panic towards the enemy backlane.
I'm undecided. All right, I'll be real, Rev. Yeah. I'm undecided because there's a few matchups that I haven't seen in a while, right? So I'm not sure how this is going to go. I feel like Akers has been playing really well throughout this series. Like, yes, a couple team fight question marks maybe in the last game, but in lane-wise, I feel like Akers has beaten Bust in 2 of 2 lanes. So I'm not super pressed about the Olaf pick into the Gwen. I think that there's still a world where Akers can come out on top and make a big problem. The question that I have is, how are we stopping QQR, right? Because the Tristana feels scary, and QQR has been doing a really good job at keeping Lionscreed in the game.
Yeah, well, you see, there's this little light switch which happens, and after a point, the range at which you see is lower than the Tristana range, and you never want to go lower than your range. So I think that the paranoia will be key to victory, and also it will be key to making you want to group up, and you don't really want to group up versus that team. You're playing versus the Ori knock combo. We all know how annoying it is that they can throw that ball from miles away and still hit you with the shockwave. So if you manage to catch 2 carries from the other side, it doesn't matter which 2. It could be the Gwen plus the Tristana plus the Senna, or you can pick mix and match. But if we hit 2, then it should be over in the up and coming team fight.
Ooh. Jamsu missing that hook there. Seen a couple hooks go a little bit short there in that last game, and it does make a big difference. But we're seeing that Kog'Maw back out again, right? The kind of general consensus from our desk was that Kog'Maw, very, very strong, can become an absolute nightmare, and especially in the earlier game, maybe a little bit underestimated. So I'm interested to see how Ruddy play this. Obviously, historically, playing around Sin has been quite a big win condition for them, and I feel like this is a game where they can definitely do that after maybe having a little bit of activity in that top side.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. You could play into all 3 lanes as a Nocturne, and that sometimes is kind of hurting you, okay? Because you, as a jungler, you have all those 3 laners rumbling in your ear, and oh, this wave is stacked. If you don't come, we're losing the game from top side. If you don't come and dive in the bot side, we're just losing the lane because Senna is scaling into oblivion. And the Tristana is always pushing, so please come and help me fix my wave. So it's gonna be a pain in Chris's ass. Honestly, he will need to be everywhere, and wherever he's gonna be, he needs to bring results. It doesn't matter if he brings his paranoia or not. He'll need to yield those results so that the rest of the lanes, wherever they're pressured, wherever they just need more and more resources, can still have in the back of their mind, okay, maybe my jungler is not here for me, but he's doing something on the map.
Yeah, and right now, the map isn't feeling too good for hackers. Okay, maybe I have to reschedule my plan for a little bit later on whether or not this Olaf wins. As in the bot side, we are starting to see Lionscreed go towards that, looking for a potential dive here. But Paul saying, you know what, we're not ready to do it just yet. They're going to have to bide a bit of time. And now the hook coming in from Jamsu is going to lead to Heathen taking a little bit of damage, but it's nothing too worrisome from the side of Lionscreed, who are still, in my opinion, controlling quite a lot of this lane.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of damage, because he also has lost his one of post, and I see that Jamsu still has both of his spots up. But yeah, on the other hand, you're looking at the marksman scene. He's 1 pot down, 10 CS down. He's looking to just farm up and find an appropriate reset timer so he can come back into the lane. But the mid lane is looking rough. So far for the side of Ketsu, he has not recalled. On the other side, QQR keep pushing wave after wave after wave, has recall, has the call, and there's a 2v2 in the top side.
Well, here we go. Aka's going to go aggressive here. Gwen able to just buy a bit of time, and now it's problematic for Ruddy. Crisis can be able to get a bit of damage down, but has to run away. The snip on the chase is not going to be enough, but the body slam with the damage. Porp going to be able to turn this one around. Another kill going the way of Lionscreed. A 2-0, not the way you want to start out this game, as now in the bot side, Ruddy trying to make something happen, nice, but as the player smart, good, 1 kill will go over, but is it going to be traded back? Spark needs 1 more auto, will get it in the flash away, but is it enough? Do they have the space? There's the pullback and the explosion, and it is a 2-0 for Sin. So Ruddy do make something happen on the other side of the map.
And that's the buffed Kog'Maw passive for you, mate. That's the power spike for him. He managed to get the 2nd kill as well. Double kill for Sin, of course, traded for 1 on the side of Spark, but in the top side, that's a catastrophe. Do you comment on that? You do ask for that gank, you do commit for it, and then you don't commit hard enough, and that's not it. Honestly, we asked for Akers to be him, but Crisis needs to be him as well. He needs to follow up. Akers committed hard with his ghost. He went on top of the Gwen, and then he gets first flashed by Pop. That's lacking from Crisis, I feel.
And it makes me question how they're going to be able to get themselves out of this, because, okay, I've said how Akers had the control of the lane in the first 2 games. This time now, it's going to be at a disadvantage, and Bust playing this Gwen is going to be very, very lethal, and I almost feel like sometimes you got to let part of the map drown. You know, maybe it's just a flip question where Crisis just says, you know what, we're just going to play for bot side, we're going to play for mid, we're going to let Akers just kind of sit there and just have to take the bad lane, and hopefully we can build enough ahead of anywhere else. But right now, we're seeing a bit of rotation. Crisis getting the grubs. Dragon is on the board. How important are objectives, Rev, in this game?
Well, like objectives in general, because objectives in
this one particularly, is there anything you're really looking for?
Well, I do like the swap. I see that you're not having any priority in mid lane or bottom lane, so Drake is really out of the question, honestly. So you need to go up, you need to commit. They commit for all three of those grabs. Are they gonna be used? I hear you asking me in your mind, and the answer is more likely not. But thing is that you can have that one off chance, one bad reset, one bad call from the side of Lionscreed Academy, which will give you 10, 15 seconds alone in the lane. And those 3 grabs can actually make a difference. They can give you a couple of plates, they can give you a couple of turrets, even if it's later in the game and the one left alone is the Olaf. So they can provide you with a lot of gold, which you otherwise wouldn't have.
And like that there, dragon picked up by Lionscreed. Not going to be Chemtech this time, so it will be an important dragon. Not going to be Ocean either. So it's interesting to see what will be on the cards, because Hextech's still up, Infernal's still potential, my personal favourite Mountain's still there. How big do you feel like this could be in terms of turning the game? Are we potentially actually flipping the game on Dragon Soul?
Well, yeah, that's Dragon Soul, I feel, always, especially if it's one of the Infernal or Hextech. I feel that Mountain could be nice for the side of the Ruddy Painkillers, but it's whatever for the side of Lionscreed Academy. It's an early scaling Drake. After 100 armor or more, those extra stats matter less and less. And when I'm looking for the side of the Ruddy Painkillers, I'm looking at the true damage Thunder from Akers. I'm looking at a lot of on-hit mix damage from the side of Sin. So do you really care about those extra resistances? I think not.
Oh, I feel like this could be it, Rev. This could be, if this is a bad play for Ruddy, this could be game defining for the side of Lionscreed. In the top side, still Akers taking so much heat from Bust. There's just not much you can really do into this Gwen. You're just getting cut down. There is no real rebuttal, just paper thin, and we know how that one goes. As at the moment, still on. So if you're Jamsu, you are so happy that that hook missed.
Yeah, that was cold from Jamsu, man, and he had seen Pope. Pope was there, he popped the lanes, he was clearing out wards. What are you doing, man? That's chasing serotonin from them, but at the end of the day, sorry, it does not matter at all. So the game keeps going, it's still quite even, and my eyes are glued at Crisis, because Crisis' first game, we seen a carry pick. He was excellent, he was fantastic, all those kicks, all that fighting potential worked dividends for the side of the Painkillers. But the second game, on the rail, he was shaking, he was cold, and not in the nice way. He was trembling left, right and center, missing stuns, going all in on random timings. Now it's up to him again, that paranoia can make or break the game.
And it does kind of ask the question of why switch up what wasn't broken? You know, they were so solid in game 1 that they then switched it up a lot, and obviously a few bans maybe kind of dictating what they can and can't do. But right now they are starting to make their way up top here, and they're investing a lot to get this gank off. Here comes the paranoia straight in onto the Gwen, looking for the fear, but look at how low they're going. The Gwen will get 1, and now Bus is still alive, looking for 2, gets it, and it might even be 3. I think Jamsu is just far enough away, but Ruddy are handing kills into the Gwen, and Rev, it's not looking good.
No, it's a disaster for Ruddy, because right now Sin cannot play his lane as well. His support is stranded on the other side of the map. You can always threaten dive with the hidden. Having the Unbreakable Will up and available, Spark is happy just solo farming his those plays, the opportunity already under his belt. And it's looking dire, it's looking extremely hard if you're a Ruddy fan at this moment. On the other hand, Lionscreed Academy, they are not beating the better laners allegations today, man.
Yeah, game 1, again, I said it earlier, right? It feels like it could have been a repeat from last week where we saw them play against Paragon. Game 1, exceptional. Ruddy, top form, looking like the #1 seed that they are. Games 2 and 3, they just couldn't get it done. And right now we're seeing them fall apart once again. And the question obviously in my mind is, what do they do, Rev? But at the same time, I don't really understand why they're going away from the game plan that could have just been play bot lane.
Yeah, maybe Smolder was that pick, right? Maybe Smolder gave them that extra confidence that no matter what we do, we're gonna win the game 25 minutes deep. But right now they don't have it. They do have some excellent picks, but the plays are weird.
Oh, Shockwave is going to land. QQR in trouble, will be picked up. Nice. Ruddy back on the board, but that looming from Lionscreed now is really setting it up, because we've talked about team fighting, right? We've talked about how good Lionscreed are at that, but now we're going to potentially see them split push Rev, and I'm not going to lie, Gwen is not one to be played with.
Yeah, but honestly, do they even need to split push? When I'm hearing split push, I'm hearing a really difficult strat, because if you're not coordinated enough, you can be caught into in that side lane. You can be caught. The rest of your team can be caught wherever you're just defending when the enemy is just committing, and you're playing the split push into the knock Orianna Nautilus, right? You can always get collapsed on either on the side lane or in the main lane. So why not just teamfight? You have the Tristana, you have a really strong Gragas who can just bomba the enemy team. You have the Gwen who does not care about the enemy range, just Hollow Mist, open that Needlework, snip anyone who tries to get close, and you're done so the team fighting looks pretty strong for the side of Lionscreed Academy as well.
We'll have to see how this one plays out. Right now, Dragon going to be picked up. That's the second of the game, and it is going to be an Infernal Soul. The one that everyone always asks for.
Yep. That's the explosive one. That's the damaging one.
Ooh, and talking about explosive, it looks like a big explosive fight in the mid lane. Ketzel just about living, but it's not going to be the same for QQR. And now, maybe, Ruddy having a little bit of a silver lining.
Yeah, we were talking about Sin, but no, Ketsu! He's the one holding Ruddy all those 3 games long. That Orianna, one trick pony as it seems. Oh, he's dead.
The timing.
That's a caster curse.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
But I do agree. I think Ketsu is someone we don't talk about enough, right? The Orianna really can make the difference in this game. As we do see that one picked up. But right now in the top side, Akers once again just being forced away from Bust. It's not even like they're able to really trade out with this Gwen, who is just holding them a little bit hostage in this lane. But I will say he's done well in the farming department.
Yeah, he's doing fine. I think bot lane is fine as well. They need to run away.
They might actually be able to get the engage on this. Spark in real trouble here. Gonna go down, and Sin starting to pick up the pace. And without Porp, it does feel like Lionscreed lanes are a little bit weak.
Yeah, whenever you don't have the chance of just pushing the Kog'Maw away, he can just run you down. That's why I hate this pick. There's no counterplay where we see in the mid lane. That's a really nice engage. Getcho ults onto 2, flashes away, leaves with just the skin of his teeth, and Crisis is able to just help out a little bit. I think that's all Ketso, who will just grit for that wave, and I think that grit is the name of the series.
Yes, indeed. It's a tough one, and remember, people at home, this is the last game. One will go out here. One will carry on their chance of winning the UKL Spring Split. But right now, here we go in the mid lane. Hook is there. There's the jump forward. The Paranoia is going to be utilized, but a knock away from QQR will keep himself alive. And Crisis now in major danger. Going to be chased through. Flash forward from Porp will get that kill. A little bit of an overextension there from Ruddy.
I'm not seeing the what's I call it? I'm not seeing the synergy from the side of Ruddy. Yeah, I'm seeing some really nice individual plays. Sometimes Ketso gets those 2-3 man shockwaves. That's excellent. Sometimes Sin finds a space, right clicks forward, just auto attacks on top of everyone, gets a lot of damage, a lot of kills. But where's the synergy? They are so disconnected. I haven't seen that easiest combo, and now Sin is in trouble.
Oh, Sin is in trouble. Super low here. Will be taken down. Not going to have enough damage to kill off the Spark there. And he then just matching Jamsu all the way to that tower. As we talk about towers, it is going to be one picked up in the top side. I don't believe Jamsu goes down here, although actually it could get pretty close, especially if he hooks back in. Crisis might be there, but this is not a fight you want to take, and they will walk away. As in that top side, we're seeing a gank on to Akers as well, and this lane is just not getting easier for the Olaf.
Yeah, in the top side, we're seeing a huge gold gap as well. I'm looking at 3k. Team diff, there's also those 2 Drakes for the side. Oh my god, Ketsu.
Ooh. Potentially the hero for Ruddy in this match.
Yeah, 2-1-1. He's putting the Tristana 6 feet under, 0-3-1. Hypothetically, that should have been the lane which the Tristana would be solo winning, easily pushing wave after wave, having move after move, but Ketsu is still there. But I don't know if we can pull up the goal difference. because the rest of the team is struggling. Pop is at a really strong point right now, 1.5 item strong. Bust, he's really busting, and he's forcing Hackers to build Merc threats, which if he builds Merc threats, it's gonna be a crime against humanity. Man, honestly, no shot he should ever do that.
Maybe
1.5k behind as well. Yeah, Hexdringer is fine, honestly. But yeah, look, there's a 500 gold difference in the jungle, 1500 gold difference in the top lane. The mid lane is kind of struggling, but not that far behind. And the bottom lane as well, even with Sin being able to run down Spark multiple times, he's still lagging behind in the gold department.
Well, maybe it can be remedied. A lot of games still left open, and obviously scaling factors are going to matter. Senna, Gwen, going to be always pretty strong, but so will that Orianna and that Cogmore. Pop, though, I feel like having an absolute blinder of a game, just making things happen. As Dragon is going to be spawning up next 10 seconds, and it looks like Ruddy are not willing to contest right now.
Yeah, it's really hard. Sin has no summoners, so it's really hard for them to walk in. However, Akers is making the move.
They are actually going to start stepping up
he's
here.
He's going to be there.
Crisis almost getting caught out, but able to walk away, and with the orb on them, it's a little bit scary. Jamsu also very far in the back line there as Bus going to use that TP. Now a 5v5, a very poignant moment in this game. If Lionscreed take this one away, it feels like Ruddy will have no chance back into it, but they're posturing, they're looking for the opening. A knock away with the casket from Pop will buy some space, as he then also going to give a bit more time. Dragon will be secured, but where's the fight after? There is the paranoia. They're going to dive in, but it's all the damage onto Alistair, and here's the knock up. A big shockwave does a lot of damage to Pop. Bust in the backline, doesn't manage to get a kill, and now Ruddy can move forward, but do they have the damage? Do they have the range? They cannot get into attack range. They managed to take two, lose the Dragon, but I don't think they're going to be able to get any more, and they're actually potentially playing a little bit too much with Fate. They do not want to give anything back, and Crisis might even be getting caught out here. The stasis going to be utilized. The tower does the damage, and another kill given over. Tower claimed by Ruddy in a very messy affair.
Yep, in the end of the day, it's a fair trade. Drake for tower, you're getting some gold, but you're versus a soul point, infernal soul point, Lionscreed Academy, and I don't know how much I can flame, but why is Ketso in Hell, my dude? Crisis has the ball on top of him. Everyone's running, everyone's grouped. I don't see the paranoia going down. Never. The light stays up. The enemy team can just do whatever they want. They can push the enemy jungle away. You never try to go in. You never try to set up your mid laner. And still, look at Ketso. He gets that excellent 2-man shockwave that deals tons of damage, make sure that you kind of win the fight. Bust, Popsor needs to run away, he cannot deal damage. What does Crisis do after the point? Why are you diving at Gragas with a stopwatch, my dude? Please, you're killing me. You are killing me.
And we'll have to see if it can turn back around, because we've talked about how individual players have made massive impacts of both sides, right? Getso absolutely solid in that fight, and Sin also dealing out quite a bit of damage. Then also a good couple plays from Lionscreed, and those fights, they're coming down to real small numbers, right? It's very little that is winning and losing fights for these teams.
Thing is, will it remain little within the next 5 minutes? Because that Drake is huge, okay? You're having the range advantage every day of the week. Your Senna is soon going to be rocking that rapid fire cannon, plus extra range. Oh, there's a nice ultimate, but nothing more happening on the Rift, I'm afraid.
Oh no, that's wrong. Crisis is going to be going in, but not going to be able to get the fear there. Not going to be able to commit fully onto Paupers. They do chase down Bust towards their tower, but you've got to be careful. The snip is so strong. And now here's the needlework. Another kill going over to Bust. The Gwen is not to be messed with, and once again shows their power. And now they're going to continue with the knock up into the body slam. There's a 3-man shockwave, but it may not be enough this time, Ketsuo, because the Lionscreed team are roaring, and their victory is soaring into their hands.
Oh my god, Pop, he saw that Crisis play and told him, look, that's how you do it, little boy. That's how you do it, little bro. He gets two people, he knocks the Herald into the wall, makes sure to body slam everyone, sets up the beautiful play for the side of Lionscreed Academy, and now the Baron Nashor is theirs as well.
Ruddy with the consolation prize of a tier 2 tower. Oh, not even going to get the tier 2 tower, but it wouldn't have made a difference. The Baron being picked up, now 3k in the lead. 1 minute 30 from the Drake Rev. They are taking it all home, and it started off with a little bit of a misplay from Ruddy.
Yeah, because how are you playing here? Ketsu has no ball on top of Crisis, so you cannot just commit onto the one guy, make sure that you're playing with the numbers advantage. Bast has that mobility, has that Hallow's Mist. Not fast on the trigger finger, so make sure that he still can play. QQR, he's playing a little bit weird, but look at Pop. He is just doing everything that he wants and even more. That guy is an absolute monster. I just checked his pronouns. It's not even he, because he's just him.
I like that, but here we go. Another potential play going to happen on the spot side. Crisis, though, a little bit too deep once more. Easy pickup for Lionscreed, and that should set up the Drake. If I've ever seen it, Crisis not going to be spawning for another 34 seconds, and it feels like Akaz is trying to make something happen, but short of killing Porp here, it's not going to matter. The stasis buys the time needed, and Akaz has to just run away. Will survive. We're not going to be able to give Ruddy some options, as Sin now having to just play underneath this tower, cannot even get into the fight. Spark is just too strong at the moment, and Porp going to get their kill on Akaz as well. The nails are being hammered into the coffin. How many more do they need to end this game? It feels like it might already be over. Sin will trade one back. Spark, however, will actually die. Oh no, doesn't. Weird Flash will get them away. As Ketsuo trying to once again pick up the pieces, but it feels like Ruddy may not be able to complete this puzzle.
Yeah, it's really hard for the side of Ruddy. Ketsu tries, he still has that ultimate, 2.5 items strong, but he needs to find the perfect 5-6k Elo ultimate to bring this fight around. The gold diff starts to matter more and more. The wallet diff is there for the side of Lionscreed Academy, and they're looking strong.
Here's the engage. Crisis going to go aggressive onto the backline here, looking for the kill. Should be able to get it. A big shockwave once again, but not enough damage. Still half HP on 3 members of Lionscreed, and Porp is alive. The key character for this dragon for Lionscreed, looking to get the smite. There's the take, the Infernal Soul, and Ketsuo has to run away. Will live just about. But once again, Lionscreed secure the big objective, Rev.
Yep, Lionscreed are there, they're having the soul, and now the Senna will hurt so much. Everyone's gonna be in a world of pain. The Gragas as well. The Gwen does not need to just ever commit that needle works. They can create so much damage, so much space for their team, and it's looking like a done deal, because if you are right now in the call of Ruddy, what is the call? How are you playing? What's the plan?
I'm hoping Middlecock can work at some classic. You know, that's all they're hoping for at the moment. But it just feels like they've lost too much, right? I agree with you. I feel like they're super far behind at the moment. Like the score is saying 4K, but it feels like even more, especially with the Soul Online as well and the scaling factors that they have. And for me, it's going to take a really big miracle for them to be able to take this fight back into their hands. But the game is still in. The Nexus hasn't blown up yet, so there is still a slight chance, no matter how slim it is.
Yeah, there's always a hope, right? Hope dies last. There's a Greek saying that says that. I'm not sure if it's translated to other languages, but it's still there. Ketsu, extremely strong, 2, 2, and 4, building his way into that Bitcoin bloom or crypto bloom, however you call it. Almost 3 items for the side of Sin as well. He's gonna get that Terminus, he's gonna be hitting like a truck, 15,000 auto attacks per second, stealing all those resistance away from your front lane. Thing is, it's really hard. There's a lot of carries left, right, and center for the side of Lionscreed Academy. Pop is a carry, Bast is a carry, Spark is a carry, QQR is a carry, and the Hidden is he's really hard to kill, especially with the Unbreakable Wheel. It's really hard to deal with him. One mistake and you're out as Ruddy. Every move matters.
Yeah, from number 1 in the regular season to potentially number 4 here. It's a bit of a fall from grace. Obviously, can come back in summer and come a bit stronger. Lionscreed, though, sticking to the plan. Good at the team fighting, good at the late stages. They've worked on that early game as well and had a pretty good game this one. And now just waiting for the pieces to end the game. Baron up in a minute. They have the items. They have the waves pushing now. Rev, I feel like they just take this objective and then go for the game.
Yep, it's a last chance. You can do everything as the Crisis and Ketchup combo, the Nokriana, whatever you call it. Just make sure that the Senna will have no spell sit. It's really easy to do. You just press your R button as the Nocturne. It deals with the spell shield. Then Ketsu, ball into your jungler. Make sure to R as soon as he lands. If you've practiced it once or twice, it's really easy to do. If you hit 2 or 3 targets, the fight might be over. You can still turn the game. You can beat the fraud allegations. The only 1-0 allegations only can play in best of ones because twice in a row you've been ahead and now you're losing.
Indeed. But they need to open up a Sin, right? If they can get Sin online, we've talked about how much damage this Kog'Maw can do, but at the moment they just cannot get into the fights. And it's the big question mark that is in my mind when thinking about this fight. Many questions, but that's the main one for me. Lionscreed now onto this Baron. They are testing Ruddy. Can they make a stand or will they lose it all here? Lionscreed playing the slow game. We saw it in game 2. They're happy to play around this Baron.
Yep, but the thing is right now, can you play the slow game? You're really far ahead, but the more the game goes on, the less that gold diff matters. The items will give you less and less of a spike. The enemy will have more and more of a fighting chance. 3 items Oriana, Crib completed, Terminus completed. Jamsu will soon have access to, I think, is going to be Anathema's Chain. So any carry that he tags will deal less damage and get more heavily crowd controlled. And the Senna, yes, it's scaling regarding the souls, but it's still a carry. There's not many souls over there. The lethality items matter less and less the more the game goes on.
Lionscreed taking their time, playing it patient. They just need to find the right opening. Do not need to rush it. But as you said, the game goes longer, the better the chances of Ruddy getting a potential win and potentially sneaking this game away from Lionscreed. As we see now, Lionscreed just setting up a trap, making it hard for Ruddy to know when they're doing that Baron bust. It's a little bit out of position here, but we'll just be able to jump over this wall, so no major problems. And on that bot side, they have QQR just splitting. Does have TP as well, so they're starting to pull Ruddy apart.
Yeah, you need to just commit on something as Ruddy right now. You need to commit either on the other side or on the Baron, and if they're doing the latter, it's going to be a hard fight. Pop is trying to find the big bomb angle.
Here we go, looking for the engage here. Gwen on the back line, Sin already gone down, and they have taken the front line as well. They're looking for the 1 kill to end it all. That is Ketsuo. They're diving in on the back line. Another one falls down, and Ketsuo, the hero for Ruddy in this game, will finally die. That is the kill needed, and that should be the game. Or maybe not the game, actually. They still have quite a lot of towers left to take.
Yep, they do have a lot of damage as well. You can just run down one lane, but they can also turn to the Baron. Try to do both, and it's kind of weird, but it should work. Thing is, after that teamfight, how are you coming back as Ruddy? Did you actually use all of your name power to just get into the playoffs of the NLC, to just fight for that EMEA Master slot? Because the Force Nations are looking harder and harder for the Ruddy call.
And now when they take the Baron, they can go straight to the Elder Drake. The double buffs of Doom will be lining up to seal the tomb for Ruddy. And they have to make a play here. This is the do or die. And we'll see if they can make a final stand. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, as you said, Reb. They've shown fights. They've shown things that have gone okay. They're now 9k gold down, and Lionscreed were able to base. It's a lot of questions with not many potential answers, and Ruddy are holding it in the mid. They're trying to push out these waves, but they are being forced back. There's the bomber, there's the knockup, and it should be an easy pick on Jamsu. That's 1 ticked off the list. Only 4 more stand between Lionscreed and the game, but I think Dragon is going to be what they go for.
Yeah, and the Paranoia is also expended to no use. You didn't save your support, you didn't go in. That's 1 huge ultimate out. How are you engaging into the enemy backline? You're just trying to burn wave, but honestly, Lionscreed can just engage.
Lionscreed going forward, Keto in trouble, gets taken out simultaneously with Sin, and that will be the game. I believe there is no redemption arc for Ruddy from that fight. 40 seconds on the clock for most of their members. Akka's the last alive. Yes, Jamsu will be spawning up, but there's no wave clear. They're going to push, they're going to take the towers. Maybe they even slow it down a little bit, Rev, and they just take inhibs and back away, but I feel like they can end it here. Lionscreed solidifying their dominance in this game.
Yeah, it matters not who ended first in the regular season, but it matters who has the laners diff, it matters who has the tenacity, and that looks to be Lionscreed Academy as they're 2-1-ing for the second time in a row.
Into the back line there, Akka's going to be taken down. Jamsu the next on the list. Just extra numbers to add to the cause. Nexus will fall. 50 gold is Lionscreed. And this will be the series 2-1 secured. And Ruddy, although adored, are not going to be making it forward anymore. So Rev, what can we say? Ruddy, number 1 seed in the split, couldn't make it happen in playoffs. Only seeming to win these best of ones. A lot of work needed before we see them back in summer. But Lionscreed, they're getting better and better.
Yep, they're getting better and better. They're scaling into the playoffs. Ruddy could not win more than 1 game in a row, it seems. And the only thing I can say is that one can never disagree with Dalek's prediction. That man is a visionary. He sees into the future. That's all.
He got it right. Yeah, fair play to Daleks, you know. Making his presence known, making his predictions known. But that is going to be all from me and you, Rev. We're going to be handing it back to our desk for one last time after a short break for them to break down what finally happened in the last game. What did Lionscreed do well, and what could Ruddy not achieve?
Yeah. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. People wanna talk that talk in reality. You have not seen me in action. You think the come up comes overnight. You ain't behind the scenes. Trust me, these things don't just happen. No shade to Gerald, but G's don't come easy when you tryna eat out producing and rapping. I read that contract you sent me to sign, but excuse me, I can't help myself, I'm just laughing. Hey, you tryna cut out a piece of my pie, and I asked you politely, what's it that you offer me? Yeah, I produce all my own beats and I have no intention of losing my publisher. Yeah, independent individual, boy, I've been eating off passive residuals. Yeah, let's be professional. Thanks for your time, but I had to decline at that principle. I've been scheming up a plan. Hey, I've been saving all I can. Hey, you can call me David Ramsey. The way I handle these bands. Hey, we ain't messing with the old model. New era, new kid, we full throttle. Just know that the come up is not a flaw. My amigos, they focus, know what to do. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
Yo, look, I ain't saying that I'm rich, cause if I'm honest, I've never been. But when I look at all these other kids, I feel just a little bit ahead of them. You should know the business is competitive. There's a lot of people that I'm better than. Even veterans ain't got the knowledge I do. I've been reinvesting all I ever spent. Stop pretending like you poppin'. Who been out here making profit? Told my mama that I got this. I wonder if she noticed what my job is. I don't know how I'ma make it, but I know no matter what, I'm finna find a way. All my homies finna eat and I ain't letting no one.
Alright, boys, I think I have to go. I think, yeah. Yeah. Good luck, guys. Yeah.
Every day making plans, they don't really understand. Gotta look out for the family. I won't fall for any scam, yeah. Only worried about the fans, yeah. I won't compromise the brand, yeah. I've been saving up the bands, whoa.
After I get it, I reinvest.
Am I in the right place? Am I hoping?
After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. Rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah, rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Welcome back, everyone, and as you can see, there's more than 3 of us on this desk now. We're joined by the one and only Heathen from the one and only Lionscreed, who took the final game of the best 3 away in, honestly, a way more decisive manner than I think we all thought. Game 1, Game 2, they were quite a struggle. Game 3 came along, and the Lionscreed from Round Robin was back in form, back on order. So, Heathen, first of all, how do you feel? How'd the games go? What's the flavour of the dish tonight?
I feel pretty good. Very heart's pumping, feeling quite energetic at the moment, obviously. But quite happy with everything. Game 1 was a bit of a struggle. We kind of had to, I think we came into it with a plan of how we wanted to play it. Draft might have thrown us off a bit with the Orianna Rel combo. It was a bit hard to play into. But we adapted quickly, and I think we came back strong. And yes, second and third game especially, we played how we wanted to play. So very happy with it, feeling pretty good.
Now, I know Bloxer had a big question to ask about Game 1, so I'll let you take that one away. Phrase it how you want, and we'll see what the answer is.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on the Smolder? Because on draft, we were like, just ban it, there's no point in letting it through. Did you guys think that the Brom with the Cogmore was the answer, that you could play around it? And after that game, after you did end up losing to a pentakilled up Smolder, was there a decision for you guys to just say, hey, look, it's not working, let's just get rid of it? And do you think you'll carry that on going forward?
I think it was a potential solution. I don't think the Braum necessarily was picked because of the Smolder. I think it's just Braum Cogmore is quite nice, especially into Nautilus. It kind of shuts down the lane quite heavily, lets us farm, gives us pressure early on. I don't think the Smolder necessarily was the issue. I think it could have been the same as on any AD carry like Jinx or Varus that would kind of get to 2.5, 3 items, and if they're given space and enough like time, they will just kind of do the same. We'll probably carry it forward in a way like we have to be aware of it more in draft for future games, because we clearly couldn't handle it as well as we wanted to. But I don't think that was like the key issue in that one. I think it was mainly just the wombo combo of Rel and Orianna and Nautilus that was hard to deal with.
I mean, look, we could say it weren't the Rel, it weren't the Aurea, it was jungle diff. As you've got Porp pathing top 5 times in the first 10 minutes when he's got. We know what was really going on down there, dude. Like,
mate, it's always jungle diff. It's always jungle diff.
Always. And going up there, he's going up towards the Olaf, right? What was going through with the Olaf pick there? Because it didn't look like it was doing too much for you guys, but then it also wasn't doing too much for Ruddy in Game 3. So can you give us a bit of insight on like why Olaf seemed to come up so much in this series?
I know it's one of the champs that, especially when we scrim, the enemy teams we play, and when we play as well a few times, it just kind of always pops off. And even though you shut us down and you kind of put a lot of pressure into being like, let's just kind of negate the champion completely, it always kind of does really well. So I think, at least for us, it's like we know it's a stable pick we can always fall back on. It does really well, given enough space and in certain team comps, it just kind of runs the enemy team down. And also in that game, if you're playing Braum, Krogmines, Nautilus, Molder, it feels like it's just going to be a snooze fest for the first 5-10 minutes. We can play for dragons and stuff, but playing for kills doesn't really make a lot of sense. So we thought, I think the idea there, remembering back, it's been 3 hours with a lot of intense fighting. I think the idea was put pressure there for the first 10 minutes, kind of give us a lead early there, and go back and transition that into a bot lane pressure for dragons and stuff. I think. I can't remember exactly, but I believe that was the game plan.
Yeah, well, I actually had a pretty big question, because I was talking about during one of our little slots before one of your games that I'm a big believer in kind of like mental and kind of like team synergies outside of the game going into stuff. And you guys have come from a really, really strong round robin season into an Elims phase that's been like very much, you know, we're kind of like tripping over the finish line each time. You're getting there, but it's looking rough and you're putting people on edge. How is that reflected, do you think, in the team? How do you guys feel about how you're progressing at the moment?
I think, and it might sound odd, but I think we're all quite happy that this kind of stumble and this... So we had a great start, which was great. It's like mood was high. We were all feeling good about the game, about how we were playing. And then we had like the stumble in like the second half of the first second round robin, which I think we were all kind of happy happened then. Because it could have happened in the playoffs as well, which at that point it would have been too late for us to kind of solve it. But now it happened. We had like, I think 3 or 4 weeks since we had our first loss, and we've had time to kind of look at everything that's going on, look at scrims, like how do we kind of redefine ourselves? Because I think just coming into it, we weren't like, this is our play style, this is like how we do it. We just kind of played the way we always have, because we've played together for like 3-4 years now. But giving us none of that space means we are kind of like, we're able to redefine ourselves now and kind of find the issues and sort everything out. So I think we're feeling really good about it, and we're kind of happy that these losses happened, because it's just given us time and space to like kind of look at what went wrong.
I think that's such a healthy way to look at it, honestly. A lot of people kind of take losses either as like a fueling point of like, oh, how dare they beat us, like, oh, we'll get them on the run back. Other people like take it really to heart, but taking it as just a pure like, hey, this is a learning experience, we're going to build up from here. I like that a lot. I really, really like that.
Yeah.
Bloxer, Doctor, any other questions for now?
Yeah, we tearing it up again at LAN? Is it another day, another dub for Cabbage Family coming through in 2 weeks? Or
I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible we'll do our best and win UCAL and win Insomnia a week later. We'll see what happens, but that is, I think, potentially the plan.
Awesome. I just wanted to quickly ask you what you thought about the support pool at the moment. Obviously, you played 2 games of Alistair and a Braum today. Do you think that it's in a good spot at the moment? Are you enjoying the way that the meta's sitting? Or is there something that you think, you know, maybe there's a spicy pick that, you know, don't spoil anything, obviously, but that maybe could come out and change up what has been, I think, a relatively wide open support pool recently?
There's nothing that springs to mind regarding a secret champ, which is also what I'd say if I had one. I like it. I think it fits our playstyle quite well. I like being on these like big tanky boys and standing in front of Spark, because it kind of, I feel like that's how we want to play our games anyways, where most of the other champs that could have been good, like Pike and stuff, aren't in the meta, which I'm quite happy about. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. It's not too diverse, which is, I suppose, not the funnest thing to watch nor to play. You can only play so many Braum games before you go insane. But it's, I mean, I don't know. I like it. It's all right. I'd much prefer this over like heavy enchanter meta, so I'll take it.
Cool. Well, you have quite the run in front of you now, though. So we are pretty deep into elims. This pushes you all the way up to lower side finals. You've got Venom Crest, and then if you win that, then you're up against Paragon. Only 2 matches lay in wait, basically. If you go undefeated, it's 2 more sets. How are we feeling about those specific opponents as well? Venom Crest being one of those ones that you were tangoing with for the top slot during round robin, and then Paragon, who seemingly have come right up out of nowhere. How do you think that's going to go?
I think, I mean, this is just as Cabbage fam, or like Grey Cabbage, or whatever we're called at this point. It is kind of comfort zone. We like having our backs against the wall. We like just having like it all matters now. This is what what it's all come down to. So in that regard, it's fully chill. I think we actually kind of prefer being here. Whereas if we're in the upper bracket, it's like there's the same to play for, but every match has kind of less significance. Regarding our matches upcoming, I think getting the win, when was it we played? Was it Friday or Saturday we played? Getting that first BO3 win, I think was just what we needed to kind of get back on track. It looked a bit rough, the same with today, but I feel like we're kind of finding our footing. Our drafting's, I don't know, behind the scenes is insane. It might not look it, but like we have so much prep and work going into this. Big shout out to some of our players who's putting in all the work. I feel like we're not too scared about it. I think we are going to win it. The only thing that's going to stop us is ourselves. I don't think we're looking too much at our opponents, but more at ourselves and be like, okay, we will win it if we just don't get ahead of ourselves and don't get in our own way. I think there's a mentality we have going into this. So yeah, I think we'll beat Venom Crest. I think we know what went wrong when we played them last. And I don't think we really foresee any further issues either with Paragon. It might be spicy matches for sure, but I think we fully back ourselves.
Cool. Well, Dr. Bloxer, any questions from you two before we wrap it up?
I think that sums it up well.
It does. I really like the confidence. Lionscreed definitely you guys have the enthusiasm and the personality to back up the plays that you make, and that's what I really like about you guys. So, look forward to seeing you in the future, and look forward to seeing how lower finals goes. May we see you in Grands? Time will tell. Thank you so much for coming by, Heathen.
No worries, and thank you for having me.
Cool, lovely. Well, that will do it. Heathen gone, and there's one last point that I feel like is necessary for me to make before.
It's probably not that necessary.
No, it really is. It really is. Production, you know the drill. Can we just there's certain things above our heads that we can just get back up just for a quick second, because baby, that's 2 nights in a row that the host has been right on predictions, with both analysts being wrong. I don't know how I do it. Honestly, I'm just him. So, I'll take my apologies from you two now.
I mean, technically, there was a 2-0 for Lionscreed in that series. You look at the match history, and you don't scroll down far enough, you're seeing 2-0.
Were we predicting this? Were we predicting like a while back, or were we predicting right now?
Wow, you just don't scroll. It's timeless, really. It's a timeless art. Great technique.
I was wrong again. To be fair.
Well, yeah, Vloxer was wrong. We can.
I was wrong. I was really wrong. I really thought that there was a way for Ruddy to finally pull it back together and get, like, all of these desperate pieces that all really looked good individually but couldn't actually get things going together, actually firing on all cylinders. And I wondered if perhaps Lionscreed were a little bit tired after all of the games that they've been playing recently, but it looked like they were warmed up and ready. As soon as they banned the Smolder, that seemed to be the problem, as it is for most teams. So, I was wrong, but I'm very excited for the next set of games is the thing. I really like seeing Lionscreed versus Venom Crest. I think it's been one of our most fun matchups throughout the entire split, so the fact that we get it again is really cool.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This season has got so much left to give. There's only 2 sets left, but I think they are going to provide so much heat into this bracket. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think they're definitely going to be ones to catch. I know I am, whether I'm on the desk or not. But for now, I believe that'll do it for us. So thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you so much for Project Gap as well for powering us. Make sure if you're watching this now, follow us over on Twitter. Everything is just kind of at UKEL, I'm pretty sure. Sorry, X, formerly known as Twitter. Catch the Instagram as well. It's the UKEL over on X. As well as on other platforms as well. That's where you can get updates, information, upcoming fixtures. All of that beautiful stuff can be found on those platforms. So all that's left to say now is we'll go down the line. It's just goodbye. So starting on one end, and then in the middle.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Such enthusiasm from the desk to close out tonight at a beautiful 10 p.m. See you later.